Okay, hold on, Chad. It is Friday. I want to make sure that we get our shut the fuck ups. Okay, we did. Okay, looks like I missed it. Just a reminder.
Martin Craig, Pop Brothers at Law. Shut the fuck up Friday, like the old days. What do you say when a cop first pull you over?
Why'd you pull me over?
And when they ask questions?
I'm not discussing my day.
And they keep asking questions?
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
And if detained, what do you say?
I invoke the fifth.
And then what do you do?
I shut the fuck up.
And that's the fucking tip of the day.
It's the win.
Okay. Shut the fuck up. We did get Mufasa, guys. Unless we I don't think we were random, right? We didn't shuffle. We didn't shuffle. But this is even more significant now that he's passed. All right, everybody. Welcome on in. It is Friday once again. What a day today. What a stream. Our friends over at the program podcast, Gopnik, will be live to shoot the shit later today. That'll be fun. Delaware doing Delaware things. Delaware is worried that corporate exits would remove a major source of income from the state, so it's poised to pass a bill written by Elon Musk's lawyers that would weaken shareholder rights and likely give Musk a $55 billion payday. That's incredible. Do I know Val for Nevada? Yeah, I think I do. Did you see the Federal Labor Union news in the Discord channel? They lost their lawsuit. Are we referring to? Anyway, everything is America is getting shock doctrined. America is being treated like Ukraine. America is being treated like Russia. America is being treated like every country that we have ever had the IMF go into and force a whole bunch of unpopular cuts. Argentina. And it's going to have the same fucking result. Dow tumbles 400 points after weaker than expected consumer sentiment and United Healthcare decline. Home sales drop sharply as prices hit an all-time high for January. The economy is great, guys. The economy is great. If I read it right, a judge effectively ruled that a temporary injunction for mass firings isn't enough reason to go to straight to a court as opposed to before a board. Can I send you an inside message from UPS? Sure.
Won that one and got a shot off. Centering past McDavid.
How is this? Wow, this is so bad. This is so bad. This is legitimately terrible. Like, what are you doing, US? You have a defender standing in the paint, like just completely in the paint, blocking your goalie. You have nobody, like he's sitting there between the circles, uncovered, unbothered. Like, this legitimately, this looks like a fucking power play. This is terrible. And you have the winger in no man's land. Who are you covering? What are you doing? You're not covering a pass to the point. You're not cheating down and helping the defense out in the corner. You're also not floating around you're not like, what is this? What is he doing? What the fuck is this positioning? This is legitimately terrible.
Centering past
And then, oh my god, look at the way the defender reacts. Look at 34. Look at 34. Centering pass.
Centering past McDavid.
What is this, like, lackadaisical acts? Like, what? Ooh, this looks like something from, like, you would do in Pee-wee. What kind of, are you gassed? Like, no one's legs are moving. What the fuck? Look at this. Okay, so, like, look at, oh my god, like, what is this American defense? What the fuck is happening? Like, they're just floating around. Look at 15 just kind of glide into his own goalie and then screen him and, like, interfere with him. He's not even getting bullied by the Canadian. He's just skating into his own goalie for no reason. What is happening? They are so bad. Holy shit, the US sucks.
And he won that one and got a shot off. Centering past McDavid. Score!
He didn't even, he had time to gather the puck and just wrist it. Like, this is crazy. He received the pass to a stop.
Centering past McDavid. Scores! Connor McDavid wins it for Canada! And Jordan Binnington has done it again inside. And he won that one and got a shot off. Centering past McDavid. Scores! Connor McDavid wins it for Canada!
Oof. To be fair, they are gassed 10 minutes into OT, long shift followed by an icy against USA, so they couldn't change. Okay, that explains a lot. That explains a lot. Because they were playing like they were dead. We have to invade now. Okay, think about this, hockey fans. If we invade Canada, we will be able to put Crosby, McDavid, all our greatest Canadian players on the American team. Think about that. Think about that. They no longer have their own hockey team. How do they leave the best player in the world all? That's what I was saying. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, and he doesn't, it isn't a snapshot. It isn't a slap shot. He just gathers a pass and then wrists it into the top corner.
Centering pass, McDavid scores!
With no pressure. That's crazy. The US just got fucking clowned. I'd do that. Yeah, for sure. Rip to Mike Lang. Oh yeah, Mike Lang died. And I really used to like Mike Lang because Mike Lang would say he had a scoring call that always perked me up. He had these very fun phrases he would say. Mike Lang is a classic Pittsburgh broadcaster, Pennsylvania broadcaster.
Michael Motorcycle. He smoked him like a bad cigar.
It was a classic.
The only way.
All right, what else do we say? Okay, it's Friday, chat, and wow, I'm sorry, chat. I got distracted. It's Friday. I'm tired. I don't know about you, chat. I'm just tired. It really does feel like Friday to me. I just wanna chill, you know? I don't want to think right now. I'm tired of thinking. One more hockey link, please. Okay. A fight just broke out after these Americans saw a Canadian fan with USA 11th province think a boot it sign. What? How can you get mad at that? Trump is out there saying that shit. This is just some guy. How can you even get mad at that? USA 11th province. Think about it. It's the warm up, chat. You can stand that. That's fine. All right. Today is Friday. We're gonna have Yugopnik on later. America's dying out. That's just a fact. That's just, you know, that's just happening. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, Destiny is like violating court orders right now. Apparently Destiny said the full name of the person suing him, and she sued him under John and Jane Doe laws because you know, she's a victim of a sexual crime, and he like just violated the court order blatantly. So we're gonna talk about that. Maybe we'll do a little fundraising for that lawsuit. Yeah. Oh yeah, Steve Bannon did a Nazi salute.
The only way that they win is we retreat, and we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit. Fight, fight, fight. Amen. The only way that they win is we retreat.
Like my reaction to that is just, it's so flaccid. It's so flaccid. It's just pathetic. He's just a loser. Like, they're just losers. So embarrassing. Please know this. He is gutting more than you know. We were worried about the USPS voting channel is about to be dead. Yeah, they're basically just destroying everything lawlessly. And it's over. It's over. Like, chat, this is why I told you in January of 2021 that the Democrats have to do radical change or else this country's finished. Like, I told you, and they didn't. And so the country's fucked. Like, there's nothing more to say. Like, and the thing is, me being right doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And people are not coming to me and saying, Mike, you were right. Thank you so much for telling us what was going to happen. They're like, nothing could have been different. This is the way things had to be. If you ever hear, oh, look at this chat, by the way. Look at this. $27. Thanks, Elon. Nobody gives a fuck about Twitter. Honestly, this website sucks so much shit. If people didn't just post stuff on here for me to talk about, like, and I don't like Blue Sky. Like, when they took over Twitter, why did the Democrats let them do that? Why did Joe Biden let them do that? He could have just said, nah, Saudi Arabia is part of the contract. We don't want you to buy it. It's national security reasons. Why did he let Elon Musk do that? Because in the reason, I'll tell you why he did that. Because he thought Elon Musk was going to act like the tech bros had acted to that point, which is just target the left. They thought, oh, the centrist Democrats, he's going to be our ally. He'll target the left. He'll make Twitter less annoying for us, helping block organizing against us and defend the status quo. That's what they thought was going to happen. Right? So they were like, yeah, Elon, you have to buy Twitter. Ha ha ha. Oh no, are you targeting the left? Whoopsie. And then it turns out that he just immediately went in the pocket for Donald Trump. And they still haven't acknowledged that. That's the thing that's really crazy. I'm just so like, I think what is really draining a lot of people is the fact that the Democrats just simply don't want to fight. But it's not just them not wanting to fight. It's all the people that were wrong in support of those Democrats just giving up, like, and their egos are more important to them than anything. Everyone who actually looks at the evidence knows that private plans are unadulterated dog shit. Only the most cynical machine politician, neoliberal ideologue, or mindless partisan hack even bothers to defend the ACA market plans. They objectively suck ass. January 23rd, 2021. Has anything changed? Here is me. When Jamie Harrison was elected as DNC chair, here was my analysis. Just awful. Former corporate lobbyist who spent record-shattering money shaving a grand total of 0.1% off of Lindsey Graham's vote when compared to 2014. The indisputable biggest failure of the entire 2020 campaign. He spent $118 per vote. That's Jeb Bush levels of loser. That was my prediction of him. How did he turn out? Was I right or was I wrong about Jamie Harrison? Or J.V. Harrison as DNC chair? How was my analysis? All I did was search between dates, and we're finding bangers I didn't even think about. The United States of America hasn't passed a federal minimum wage increase since 2007 under George W. Bush. That was 14 years ago. Well, chat, make that 18 years. If you are one of those people saying this is the most progressive administration in history, it's time to stop. January 21st, 2021. Again, I've just been completely 100,000 quadrillion% correct the entire time. The only time I get things wrong is when I'm like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't, we should give the Democrats a chance. I mean, it's just sad. I can't find the post I was thinking of, but one of the things that really bothers me and really, people are freaking out, suggesting that Trump's attempt to take over the USPS is his attempt to control all mail-in ballots. Thoughts? Yeah. I mean, that stuff only really matters on the margins, like if it's a close election. This is embarrassing, Mike. Wait, Salute Enjoyer says what? What is it? What's embarrassing? The drama is over? Bro, he's gonna go to jail. Like, you get that, right? Like, no, in all seriousness, like, you think he's going to go to prison, man. Like, you think it's gonna fade away because you're in streamer mode. Go look at anybody who actually is a lawyer or anybody who has any kind of legal background covering this. He's going to go to jail. It's just beginning. Just because, and by the way, it's absolutely crazy. Destiny thinks, so this is the DG. I'm gonna just tell you straight out what the DGGers are saying about Destiny. So Destiny released more private sexual information from Pixie, and one of them is that she asked. She asked one of her like partner, like ex-partners or like current boyfriend, they had an open relationship, and she asked him for consent to send a sexually explicit video of him and her to Destiny. And Destiny saying, see, she sent him porn of her and another guy, so that means that he now has the right to send porn everywhere. And it's like, no, that's not what that means at all. That's not what that means at all. Like, see, she sent porn of herself with somebody else to him with consent. That means he can send it to anybody he wants without consent. My streamer, that's their argument. Like, unbelievable, like, cope. He's going to go to prison with dubious consent. That's not true. Like, that's just made up. He's just lying. He's just lying. Just to be clear, because it's obvious no one in the comments so far is actually reading, these logs don't actually prove that Pixie sent videos without consent. They say she was open to sending videos of her with another person, but the claim that it was non-consensual has yet to be demonstrated. What it does show is that Pixie was lying that she originally claimed she never sent any videos with other people to Destiny. I don't think she... first of all, she may have said that in a DM at some point, but that's not the same thing. She admitted she sent at least one video that she saying she had the consent of the person in the video. Pixie also lied about having sex with Destiny. Wouldn't you? But none of, again, these are not under oath. These are private. These are like lie, like saying you have ever told a lie ever. That's not what, like, what the fuck are you talking about? This Darvo shit is insane. She said she was 19 when she was 20 or 21. So they have a Discord message screenshot? Like, this is their evidence? So I sent you a nude with your consent. You sent one back. I sent a nude of one of my friends with their consent. And do you see that as implied consent for me to send my nude to a third party? Explain the logic. There is no logic. Exactly. This is insane. What a wacky goober thinking he had implied consent to send Pixie's porn to 15 women. Is it wrong of me to think that if you'd agree to fuck Desi, you kind of have it coming? Yes. Yes, that's called being a rape apologist. That's called being a rape apologist. That makes you a misogynist. People make mistakes, you know? When you're a 19-year-old sexually inexperienced person and you're with somebody you think is popular and famous and you have a parasocial relationship with, we all make a lot of dumb mistakes when we're 19. Mike, these are just your okay, you could just leave, man. Like, we don't need you. We don't need you here. I will tell you this though. We're just beginning. We're just starting the war. Like the war is on. Like, we're never going to stop until he's in prison. You know, and that's all we're gonna say. Like, we're not gonna stop. Unlimited support. Like, we all knew he was going to, you know, discovery's happening. We're gonna get all that information. Everything's happening. Like, we're not done. We're going all the way. Speaking of which, Rods, if you go ahead and pin this, go ahead and pin Sue Destiny. If you want to support the stream, go ahead. If you want to go ahead and pin that, and you want, you know, if you want to support the stream, go ahead and throw some more money towards Pixie. Destiny violated his court order. For the record, when the omni-liberal discussed Pixie's name last night, he did so against a protective order by the court of Florida. Under no circumstances shall any person disclose plaintiff's name to the media without the consent of plaintiff's counsel. This cause came before the court on plaintiff's motion for permission to proceed under a pseudonym and for a protective order. Upon due consideration of the motion, the relevant portions of the record, and for good cause showed, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that the motion is granted. All documents filed with the court that contain the name of the plaintiff or information that identifies the plaintiffs or her family members directly or indirectly should be filed under seal. In all publicly filed documents, plaintiffs shall be identified only by her pseudonym. If requested to do so, plaintiff's counsel shall disclose the true name of plaintiff to counsel for the defendant. Counsel to the defendant may disclose the identity of plaintiff to defendant, employees of defendant, and experts retained in the case, but only to the minimum extent necessary to litigate this action. Individuals to whom disclosure of plaintiff's identity is made shall not further disclose that information to any other person without first obtaining confirmation from the defendant's counsel that such disclosure is necessary to litigate this action. Any person to whom disclosure is made because of this litigation shall first read this protective order prior to having access to the identity of plaintiff. Counsel for defendant shall ensure that all persons to whom disclosure is made pursuant to paragraphs 3 and 4 are aware of this protective order. Under no circumstances shall any person disclose plaintiff's name to the media without consent of plaintiff's counsel. If any specific issues related to non-disclosure of plaintiff's identity arise during the course of this litigation, the parties shall seek to resolve these issues without court intervention. If the parties cannot agree, they shall seek further clarification from this court. Done and ordered in Miami, Florida, this day, 20th day of February, 2025. Destiny just violated... Like, what an unbelievable dumb fuck. Wait, what? Oh, the metadata for Destiny's stream to local Miami time combined with when he stated Pixie's name places this motion 1 hour after the statement, meaning the motion was filed in response to Destiny doing... Oh, okay, you're right. You guys are right. Okay, you guys are right. Thank you. It looks like 1 hour went by. It looked like 1 hour went by. Okay, you guys are right. Okay, you guys are right. Are you going to cover the news today? I'm not interested. Okay, you could cover this news. The news of you not being able to talk for 24 hours. I don't care about that, Megatechnics. He's not, like, I don't care. Show me when it happens. Like, show me when it happens. Anyway, let's continue. Oh my god, the audacity chatters have to add, like, one of the things that really is kind of amazing is how many people consider themselves to be, you know, feminists or leftists or anything like that. But the moment they're actually called upon to do anything, they act like they're being put upon. Shut the fuck up. This isn't just drama slop. This isn't Destiny slept with someone or Destiny had a divorce. You laugh about that for 5 minutes and go on. This is Destiny trying to use his audience to intimidate people who are suing him. And it literally does not matter. Like, nothing that has happened has changed an iota of what's going on. RK Monkey, thanks for gifting us up to Mad Cow Licks. And like the idea that you should allow Destiny's fans to create a narrative without pushback means you're dumb as fuck. I mean, if a streamer is covering something that doesn't interest me, I just kind of tune out. Like, that's the whole point. The man is a criminal. Did you see the new allegations that Destiny secretly recorded a grinder hookup? It's not even allegations. He admitted it. He literally admitted it.
Role and the unauthorized disclosure and the harm it caused, immediate cessation of further things, reimbursement of legal fees.
Especially like the judge actually granted Pixie a protective order last night, and he's on here, what, just smearing and leaking a bunch of shit and showing private legal correspondence. Why? I'm sure this went by the lawyers.
Matter within 5 business days. All right.
Yeah, he did a whole response. His response is irrelevant. His response is completely irrelevant. He doesn't talk about... He mostly is just trying to smear her for the idea that she wanted money from him. He violated her rights. She's entitled to money. She has a legal claim. Like, there's no like, oh, she said pay me money for what you've done. And he's like, no.
A phone call followed between our 2 law firms to discuss the absurdity of this demand. I was incredibly irritated at this point, as Pixie had already launched a...
Can you please stop claiming these morons have TBIs? It's insulting to people like...
...role and the unauthorized disclosure and the harm it caused, immediate cessation of further things, reimbursement...
Wait, what is this clip?
Yeah, especially like the judge actually granted Pixie a protective order.
Wait, what is this clip that was leaked? I missed it.
I'm trying to do this one piece at a time.
New leak dropped on KF, recording of the grinder dude.
Also, when Destiny goes to his community and says Kiwi Farms, he's republishing the leaks. He's directing people to the leaks again. Wait, what? No, guys, it's totally normal to get consent to share an audio recording and then keep the phone in your pocket so the audio is worse. Wow, I didn't know that. You're telling me now for the first time. It's so sad someone can be that funny, charismatic, and truly evil at the same time. I can't tell if you're talking about Trump or Destiny. I mean, like, the thing is, like, Northern Lion, what did he say?
Yeah, how do we see these photos? Let's go land and then immediately get back in.
Oh, can you drop your camera? I'll take a look.
Well, yeah, and then you press Can
you do that? Oh fuck!
It's insane. The one I go do, it's perfect.
I gotta see that next.
It's only Destiny drama if he shares the photo without consent. It looks like he had consent. What are the lawyers doing out there? They are in a legal battle now. Should they be keeping their mouths shut? Okay, honestly, probably not if you can get your lawyer's approval to say certain things. No one gives a shit about the outcome of this legal case when it comes out 1 to 2 years from now, but people are forming their beliefs on everyone right now. In a world where reputation and public opinion are extremely important, you want to get ahead of it of whether you're guilty or not. I will say this guy is actually pretty correct. Like, it's important. That's why I'm pushing back on this shit. Destiny is just guilty. And he's trying to slander her in the public arena so that he can keep making money so he can fight the lawsuits and the legal charges he's going to be facing. Because this is the thing. Destiny is in deep legal trouble, right? And the only way he's going to be able to keep up the fight is if he keeps his community together. So he's betting that he can just lie his way. And honestly, I think, you know, from a legal perspective, Pixie responding was probably risky. But from the perspective of actually winning this thing, it was worth the risk. And like, she couldn't just let him sit there going out there and saying, oh yeah, she sent me videos of people without their consent. You know, and there's something in the law called unclean hands doctrine, which is basically you can't come and sue somebody with unclean hands, right? You have to not be guilty of the crimes that you're accusing somebody else to have committed. Like, unclean hands doctrine is an important defense. So that's what Destiny's trying to do. Destiny's trying to say, she has unclean hands, right? She was sending me non-consented videos of herself with other people. So I thought it was fine for me to send unconsented videos. Now, that's just nonsense, and it's not true. And if you actually look at the messages that Pixie posted, it says, oh, I want to send you this video, but my partner is sleeping right now, so we're going to have to wait till tomorrow. If she was sending videos without consent, why would she say that? It's very clear that she wanted to talk to him first. I don't know about Pixie, but what Destiny did was 100% ran through by his legal team prior to posting. No fucking way it was. His legal team may have looked at his statement, but there's no way they thought he was going to do it live and react and have chatters going by and like react to chat. You're dead wrong. There's no fucking way his lawyers understood. Even if they did go through the document and thumbs up it, there's no way they thought he was going to live stream it. And if they were, they're dumber than dirt. You're dumber than dirt. Can you explain what he said that will be used in court against him that will make his case worse? This is what dumb people think. Okay, this is probably one of the dumbest questions you're ever going to see in your entire life. When you speak, you create a formal position, and then later, if you say something different, that could be used to impeach you. So every time you speak about the case, you are creating a record that could be then used against you later. And even if you only say factual things, you can give evidence, or somebody who is looking at the case from a different angle might take that things that you have confirmed and then use that to create an inference that goes against your interest. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say you get arrested and you're suspected of murder and you're innocent of the murder. You didn't do the murder. Okay? You did nothing wrong. It's a mistaken identity. And then you get brought into the interrogation room and they're like, you killed him, didn't you? And you're like, what? I didn't kill him. And they're like, we have a witness that saw you driving on Route 30 at 1 a.m. And you go, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I was on Route 30. I was driving home from the bar. Now you have just confirmed and confessed to your location. You have they have a piece of evidence from you and be like, yep, see, he was in the area at 1 a.m. according to his own admission. So even though you were doing nothing but telling the truth, you have now given the prosecutor, you can give your adverse party more information to lock you down. They have the burden of proof on you. And by giving them additional information, you lowered the burden of proof. You gave them another element. You located yourself within travel distance of the crime by your own admission. And the more you talk, the more you do stuff like that. Even if you're totally innocent, talking can get you convicted. But he's a public figure. Trump has showed that court case is 20% of PR. No, okay. This is another incredibly stupid point. Stephen Bennell II is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump has the loyalty of tens of millions of Americans because of his political stature. Destiny probably won't, like, if there's a single Destiny fan on the jury, that would be a shocking stroke of luck for Destiny. Nobody knows who this motherfucker is. He's not even an F-tier celebrity. Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? But yeah, Destiny didn't appoint any federal judges of Florida. My God, these chatters are dumb as fuck. She kind of made it either be a trial or withdrawal of the suit because she has nothing to offer. At this point, it doesn't matter what he says as long as it isn't fabricated. Look at all... First, it was always game over. She had no proof that Destiny shared the videos maliciously and with the intent to hurt her. This fact always made it game over. This is not the case. First of all, this is like Baby's first time trying to interpret laws. Baby's first time interpreting the laws. Oh, I shot and killed you? Well, I was aiming at that guy, so I didn't I didn't do murder. I didn't do murder because I was shooting at that guy. You're an accidental killing. That's not how intent works. This is Baby's first time attempting to interpret law. Stop reading laws and then going, I know how to read. I know how to interpret the law. That's not how law exists. You are stupid. Malice means that the wrongful act is done intentionally, you dumbass. That's all malice means in the law. Why do people say shit like they don't know what it means? Here's the law dictionary. I'm pulling up a law dictionary if this ever loads. Also, if a DGGer were on the jury, they would resist the temptation to post at Reddit about it. There would be, yeah, oh no, there's no fuck. Okay, I don't know why this legal dictionary page is not working. Cool. What's going on with Chrome is getting to me right now. Malice means they intentionally broke the law. If Destiny himself was hacked and the video was leaked, it doesn't mean he intentionally broke the law. That's not what it means. It means they intentionally did the wrongful act without legal justification or excuse. That's what malice means. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say that you and I are talking and I think you're the dumbest motherfucker I've ever met in my entire life, hypothetically, and I were to get pissed off, right? And I punched you in the face as hard as I could. Now, in my mind, I was just trying to shut you up, right? I was just trying to get you to stop talking because I thought you were a dumb fuck. Hypothetically, right? That was my intent. And that's what I said. Please stop talking. I'm not trying to kill you. And I punched you as hard as I could in the face. And then you fell down and hit your head and died. I committed at least second-degree murder because the wrongful act that I did intentionally was punching you in the face. And the fact that it led to the consequence of you dying doesn't mean that I'm not guilty of murder. Because, and here's something that everybody should know. If you assault someone, there is a reasonable probability that they may die. Jack Ma is back, but Beijing is in control. Okay, so they didn't do it, so he's fine. It's because the wrongful act that was done was me punching you, was me assaulting you, was me battering you. Assault is generally defined as an intentional act that puts another person in reasonable apprehension of imminent harm or offensive contact. No physical injury is required, but the actor must have intended to cause a harmful or offensive contact with the victim, and the victim must have thereby been put in immediate apprehension of such a contact. Intention in the context of this is not quite the same thing, but it's important to understand. Means that the act is not accidental, but motive is immaterial. It doesn't matter if the goal of the tortfeasor was merely to scare the victim or if the act was meant as a joke. The tortfeasor need not have intended for the contact to be harmful or offensive, only to have intended the actual contact. Like, this is what's very important that people don't seem to understand. It's like it doesn't, like, in regular vernacular, when we say malicious, we mean like, I'm mad, I have bad intent to hurt you, malicious. That's not what it means in the law. That's not what it means. I don't know why people think this shit. Like, god damn, people are stupid. It's like, in my mind, I didn't intend to do things bad, so I'm free to do everything bad. Like, yes, I put the item in my jacket, but I didn't intend to steal it. I just forgot it was there. Like, this is the level of 5th grade lawyer you're on. There's also the reasonability of an action. Shooting a gun at a gun range and following the best practices when someone happens in front of you does not make you a murderer. Yeah, because you weren't intending to shoot a person. You weren't intending to commit a crime. I'll give you another example. Let's say I have a gun and I intend to shoot you in the leg to wound you, but then I hit your femoral artery and you die. I have committed murder because I intended to shoot you. I intended to cause you grievous bodily harm, and you died as a result. So therefore, my intention to commit bodily harm becomes intent to commit murder. To be fair, common vernacular often misconstrues terms meant for legal arguments because they sound cool. It's because they're stupid assholes, and nobody taught them that they're not smart enough to do this. Like, that's the thing that's very funny to me, is it's like, you think law is just Googling things and reading them out loud? Is that what you think being a lawyer is? You think being a lawyer and interpreting laws is just going to Chat GPT? Like, that's what you think being a lawyer is? You think it's just I'm Googling the law and then I read it out loud and that's that? You don't even understand the basics about what the law is. That's not what the law is, chat. The law is every single interpretation by controlling authority that exists already. That means that you need to search every single case that has applied to this law or these kinds of circumstances in the entire fucking controlling authority tree of. So we're talking about millions of cases you have to search and go through to understand what the actual interpretation of this law is. It is not, I Googled the law and then read it out loud and that's what it is. You stupid fucking, oh my God. This is what I'm talking about, which is people like Destiny create maliciously stupid people that are dumber than dirt, but they talk like they know what they're talking about because the guy Googled things. Like, you can't, like, you dumb fuck. There's a reason you can't cite the Wikipedia. There's a reason you can't, like, the law itself, the plain language of the law is a good, important starting point, but it's not how you interpret law. It's not how you make legal arguments. And that's the thing that's really shocking Like, so many Redditors are confidently incorrect. Yeah, there's something that happened with Reddit with mediocre minds were able to find each other, and they were just able to update. I updated. That means it has more updates. That means it's correct. It's a disaster for the human race. It is the Donald Trumpification of America, which is like, I got more updates, therefore what I'm saying is more right. It's this kind of vulgar democracy, but it's not even democracy, right? Because there's no attempt to find all the people that might be impacted by such a decision or such a consensus. It's just a random selection of Ethan's subreddit thinks Palestinians control Reddit. Unbelievable. The Palestinians control Reddit. In criminal law, malice indicates the intention without justification or excuse to commit an act that is unlawful. Sending somebody's sexually explicit content without their consent to a third party is malice. All that you have to prove that it was sexual cyber harassment is that he intended to send it to a third party without her consent, and that she was disturbed by it, and that a reasonable person would have been disturbed by it. That's all you have to prove. Okay? You don't have to prove that he sent it purely with the intention to cause her harm.
Very obviously designed pro-Israel propaganda here. I sure hope no liberals are eating this dick right now, like crazy style, hopping on
This is Destiny brain, by the way. This is the thing that happens with Destiny. And this is why I know Ethan Klein is a DGGer, because I know what normal liberals are like, okay? I am a very well acquainted with normal liberals, all right? And normal liberals do not use right-wing sources unless they're proud they're using right-wing sources, because they're showing bipartisanship. Okay, if a liberal is using a right-wing argument, they'll say, this is right-wing and I'm compromising. Yay! They will not just use an argument and then quietly, and then it turns out it was supported by APAC or something. They'll be like, if Democrats and Republicans agree, APAC is great. That's what they'll say. So when a person just is using right-wing sources and arguments, unironically, you know that they're a Destiny fan. Because they're stupid as fuck. Because how do I know this? Because it's happened to me many times, and every single time I see it, I'm like, why the hell is this person who thinks they're a liberal sending me Heritage Foundation articles? The Heritage Foundation is like one of the most far-right pseudo think tanks paid for by billionaire money. Why are you sending me Heritage Foundation shit? And it's because they Googled it and it popped up and it looked like a real website. And so that was enough for them. No ability to critically analyze the source of the information. No interest or ability to go into the footnotes and the author and try to critically analyze what is being talked about. No attempt to like look for academic outcomes. It's exactly the same kind of midwit model that you see. It's the Reddit Googler. I have a conclusion and I Google my conclusion to back up my conclusion. How is this cleaning up anything? The court is going to convict him. Wait, what is going to happen? All right, somebody else linked me that. Just tuned in. It sounds like you guys already discussed Ethan and Dan Dick writing a Breitbart article. No, we didn't. We were just about to. It's just something that I see a lot. Do you see how actual malice is a separate thing? There's malice, and then there's actual malice in defamation law, right? That's because they're different things. When you say somebody shows malice in criminal law, that's different than actual malice in defamation law. This is the type of thing where there's no way to convince a Destiny fan because they just don't know how to think. Like, legitimately, they don't know how to think. When I say this, you can go and check it against, like, institutions that have authority within the law. And that's what law is based on. Law is based on authority. Law is based on precedent and authority. It's not based on what you think, what you pull out of your ass, okay? It is based off of other courts have interpreted it to mean and how they have applied it in similar circumstances. And you can't just Google something to figure that out. But Your Honor, did you see my stream where I intellectually dominated my opponent? Ipso facto ergo sum, I win. There was a... What's the difference between civil law and criminal and common law? Common law refers to the system of law that existed prior to the revolution in England. So a lot of the laws were unwritten laws. They were interpretations and precedents that had been made by the courts over the course of 1,000 years in England. And so we had common law understandings of things. right? Like burglary, for example. In the common law, in burglary, you had to enter somebody's abode with the intention to commit a felony at night, right? That's the common law understanding of burglary. And if any of those elements were not met, you didn't commit a burglary. Now, many of you are hearing that and going, wait, if I unlawfully entered someone's home with the intention of committing a felony during the day, that wasn't burglary? Correct. Under common law, it was not burglary. Well, guess what? We have written our own burglary laws, and we have closed that at night loophole. Okay? So, but there was common law in the past, right? And we carry a lot of that common law to the day. And that's how we have what's known as, there's two types of legal systems, right? There's civil law systems and there's common law systems. In America, 49 out of the 50 states are common law systems. One state is a civil law system. Chat, which state is a civil law system? Bonus points for anybody who can figure this out. Look at all the smart chatters. They Googled it very quickly. Nodder Smoketine says Louisiana, and the answer is correct, because Louisiana was formerly a French territory. So in France, they have civil law. And so Louisiana had that kind of basis of their legal system because they originally were a French territory. Look at that. Look at the big brain on Nodder Smoketime. Now, in common law systems, the previous cases precedents construct the black letter law, right? Like that's the funny thing. Now, we also have the legislature who writes new laws, right? But laws are interpreted by the courts, and those interpretations have the same force of law as the written law itself. And so we are, so whenever you're talking about law shit with a non-lawyer, it's embarrassing. It's legitimately embarrassing for people that don't have a legal education to be Googling sexual cyber harassment statute Florida and then going, Pixie's gonna lose because he didn't show malice. Like, you are dumber than fucking dirt. Like, you're legitimately dumber than dirt. And it's an embarrassment. Cajuns are former Canadians. No, because there were a lot of French territories in America. You know, you have Quebec and you have Louisiana, and they were taken by force or by, voluntary transfer in the form of the Louisiana Purchase. So, like, we have that. You can tell none of Destiny's viewers are lawyers because they haven't once tried to cite any case law proving their interpretation. Exactly. They would say, like, in Cuck v and Cuck v what's a good Destiny case law? Cuck v Moron. And Cuck v Moron, they said that you could send revenge porn of someone as long as you're just doing it to try to date a 19-year-old girl. As long as there was a 19-year-old Discord kitten, consent is no longer required. Cuck v Gooner, yeah. The big thing in Napoleonic Code here in the US is that precedent doesn't work the same in civil cases. A guy could get in the car accident twice in the same way, in position A the first time, in position B the second time, and both times be found at fault. I was going to ask a question, but after listening to you, I was able to figure out the answer to it. This is an all review from my business law class. Thank you. You're welcome. A DGGer who is an attorney said on Twitter that she's going to lose since lawyers fired as a Jane Doe case, and he lost once because he filed with the plaintiff's initials. Cope. That's a typographical error that could easily get fixed. Who cares? That doesn't bear onto the merits of the case. The Jane Doe thing is something she can opt to do to try to protect her identity because she's a victim of revenge porn. And it's in the law that you have the opportunity to file these cases as Jane Doe so that you can seek legal recourse without also having your identity disclosed. But if your identity gets disclosed, it doesn't mean that you suddenly are not able to keep suing. What the fuck is he talking about? Like, who? Okay, but like, I've listened to Hassan also vastly misunderstand how the law is interpreted. Yeah, he does indeed do that. There are online leftists who think they're smart enough to understand the law. There's a reason that it's a 3-year intensive program. Of course, someone like Hassan is smart enough to finish it. But I really fucking hate the internet consensus that's so easy to, is that it's so easy to understand. Law is incredibly difficult to understand. And anybody who like, and what makes law so disgusting is it's very difficult to understand, but the understanding the legal formalities is actually not what gives you power. That's the funny thing. That's what makes law so funny. It's like a lot of really intelligent people put a lot of effort into understanding the law, assuming these rules mean something. And then Donald Trump gets into office, and you learn that the law is built on a foundation of power. And when the power wants the law to change, the law changes, no matter what the legal formalities say. And that's what people don't seem to get, which, you know, it seems like a contradiction, but it's actually not. The legal formalities exist in a time of political consensus and a period of political rapprochement between factions, right? But in a period of reform or a period of revolution or a period of radical change, there is no longer consensus. We saw that previously in the New Deal period. In the New Deal period, FDR said, fuck the law. It's anachronistic. We need a new set of laws and interpretations so that our society can succeed. We are not this small yeoman settler country anymore. We're a modern industrial country spanning a continent, and we need new laws to accommodate that reality. This kind of uninformed debate around the law is going to be nationwide when the Supreme Court decides birthright citizenship. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, people just don't get it. And this is the type of shit I'm talking about. This is why people like Destiny need to be taken on, because he's dumb. Like, he's profoundly stupid and arrogant. Hassan is our foreign policy. Wait. Hassan is our foreign policy and government guy. We come Mike for legal awareness. Okay. What kind of can of worms would open up if the Supreme Court decides to yeet birthright citizenship? That would basically, that's the entire basis of everyone's citizenship. So it would cause such a legal morass that I don't understand how that would even be possible. Mike, you've been desperately milking this drama with Destiny in your titles the past month. Your obsession is unhealthy. Bro, you have a like 20-page Reddit wiki page on me in your community. The projection of you, by the way, and here's the thing. If you think Destiny's gonna walk, you can think Destiny's gonna walk, but I can tell you this. We're not going to let him walk. We're not gonna. He just got sued. He just got sued yesterday, bro. And he did a cope stream, and you're out here buying the cope stream. He just got sued, bro. And the first thing he did right away is say the Jane Doe's name on his stream. You think he's gonna walk? This motherfucker is maulding. He is maulding his ass off. He is coping. He's leaking more shit while being sued. He's desperate. And he's desperate. He's scrambling to keep the remaining dumb fucks in his community so he can milk you for money. Okay, Mikey Poo, we will see that. Oh no, guys. It's my credibility against SDGASGDASDG77. Man, oh man. This is why you're anonymously in here. Because you have no credibility. Honestly, I think one of the things I would do is if you find yourself making sock puppet accounts, you should honestly pick up base jumping as a hobby, because anything is more productive with your life than that.
Jurisdictions.
Well, the law are definitionally our statutes, right? They're not rules. Yeah.
No, what?
When you're reading jury, what is common law?
What's the common law?
He is subnormal. Like, he knows nothing about anything.
Is it not law?
Isn't that just Louisiana? I don't think anybody else uses
No. Louisiana is the only state that uses Napoleonic Code. Every other jurisdiction in the United States uses common law.
Hold on, wait. I don't know. When we say common law, I would have to. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know.
No, it's okay. No, I'll tell you.
But when if I get charged with a crime and I go to court, nobody's like talking to me about common law. They're reading the statutes. That's what's being read to the jury in terms of like how to like convict.
Wrong. Okay. The statutes are what you're being prosecuted under, but how to interpret the statutes has been determined by previous court cases and appellate decisions that are binding within the court's jurisdiction. And all of that is considered the common law. The statutes plus the interpretations that are binding according to controlling authority. This is 101 level shit. He's dumber than fucking dirt. Destiny fans, how do you look at shit like this and then post? Like, I don't get it. How the fuck do you listen to this guy? He's dumber than fucking dirt. It's crazy. This is high school level shit.
Somebody, that's what I'm being charged with. I'm being a crime that can be found in a
Why are you talking? Why the fuck is he talking still? This guy's losing it because he's like, bro, you're stupid. But he wants the clout, right? So this guy wants Destiny clout. So he has to like treat him like a baby. He has to be like, well, yeah, I mean, the statutes are important.
Shoot, I'm not being charged with a common law thing.
But if Virginia, for example, were to repeal all homicide statutes right now, I could still be hauled into court and tried for homicide under the common law. The common law exists only to the extent that it is, or the common law exists always unless it is expressly displaced by statute. And so right now we have a proliferation of statutes that have, you know, various iterations of criminalizing homicide statutorily, but the statutes themselves are not the only source of law here.
That might be the case. I don't know what it looks like.
What do you mean might be the case? What do you mean might be the case? What do you mean might be? Even his audience is like, Destiny, common law fills the gaps on statutes. Statutes are very broad or formed by common law. Another noise point from Poindexter. Like, his community is dumber than fucking dirt. Okay. I really hate, oh my God, like, legitimately, this is so embarrassing, man. Like, the secondhand cringed. Mike, you have to admit, Destiny is very well versed in any law that says statutory in it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. He has a laminated card of every state's age of consent in his wallet, for sure.
I would be very surprised if I could be charged with a crime by common law if it's not actually in a statute. But
yes,
of course you can. Why are you surprised? Because you're uneducated. But also, we don't need to do that because we have statutes. But the interpretation of the statutes is also the common law. It is the precedential law. That's how our system works. He's a complete moron. And here's the thing. Even if you Google it, is the U.S. a common law country? Yes, the United States is a common law country, though it has some civil law influences as well. Most countries use the civil law system, but the United States uses the common law system. DepartmentOfJustice.gov. Thomson Reuters Legal Solutions, common law, defining what it is and what you need to know. The simplest definition for common law is that it is a body of law based on court decisions rather than codes or statutes, but in reality, common law is more often complicated than that. And at the center of common law is a legal principle known as stare decisis, which is a Latin phrase that roughly means to stand by things decided. In practice, stare decisis is just a fancy way of saying that courts and judges need to follow earlier decisions and rulings, otherwise known as case law, when dealing with similar cases later. For example, if a court makes a particular decision based on a specific set of facts, then the court is required to follow that decision if they ever make a ruling on the same or closely related issue. Likewise, decisions made by higher courts, like a jurisdiction's Supreme Court, are typically binding on lower courts in the same jurisdiction. There are many countries throughout the world to use common... See what I mean? This is like basic 101 level shit. This guy's trying to debate people, and he doesn't have 101 undergraduate level understanding of basic shit. That's why he didn't know rich people borrowed against their assets. Yesterday, I showed you in finance, in taxes, he knows nothing, right? But he's talking about how AOC is economically illiterate. He doesn't know that rich people borrow against their assets to avoid taxation. Now he doesn't know that America is a common law jurisdiction, and he's talking about law and interpreting statutes. Like, DGGers. Destiny is an inferior, stupid fuck. Like, legitimately a dumb fuck. Survey course level lack of knowledge. And he like, this is a Destiny debate in a nutshell. Holy fucking hell, this is insane. He is dumber than fucking dirt.
Yes, that's how it all has worked for the majority of the history of the Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence.
I don't know about Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence.
Yes, I know you don't know. Okay, by the way, chat, the guidance Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence is not just buff bullshit. It's not just buzzwords. It's not just things he's saying to fill the air that Destiny doesn't know what they mean. They mean something very specifically. Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence. Okay? Jurisprudence is the study of the law and the practice of the law. Anglo-Saxon refers to the British legacy of the British. So it's the Anglo-Saxon basically means British, historically British study and practice of the law, which is what we built our system off of because the United States was a British colony. And so when we were setting up our legal systems, we imported a lot of the shit that they had already figured out. Because why would we dispense with it? It already exists. It already works. Then we keep that common law, and we've built off of that system. And we have created a different system, and it has its own picadillos. But this is not just like a thing he's saying. Destiny's saying, I don't know about Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence. He's basically saying he doesn't understand basic history. He's, I mean, like, legitimately, where's the DGG or chatters? You know he's stupid, right? You watch him for drama. Like, can someone explain to me? Like, this is why Destiny gets so many people worked up, because he's dumb as fuck. And people cannot believe, it's a shock every single time people see that he has an audience. Step forward. Step forward. Explain to me why you listen to this fucking sex criminal. He's a sex criminal too. On top of being stupid, which would be bad enough, he's a sex criminal. I want you to explain this. He's stupid.
U.S. law, because this is the United States of America. And these are the venues that we're talking about, right?
Right, but what body of law was inherited by the colonies?
Inherited and then codified into federal and state statutes?
No! Why is he saying stuff like this? Why is he saying stupid shit? He's just making it up. He's so stupid. And this is the problem with debates. This is the problem with debates. Like, oh, by the way, not with debates. This is not a problem with debates. Formal debates between people of edification and humility who are good faith, incredibly important, incredibly valuable. We need adversarial debates venues. Those are important, right? Like, debate is not a problem. This, whatever this is unbelievable.
Oh, presidents.
Like, legitimately, what are you talking about?
According to the Constitution, right?
No, I'm not trying to be difficult here. You're not correct on this one.
What is wait. Is there any criminal common law? Can you think of a single case where somebody was charged with a criminal common law thing?
Almost everybody if temporally, almost everybody ever charged with a crime, like burglary. Burglary is a common law crime. It was created by courts, not by a legislature.
But it's codified in state legislatures.
It is now.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, because we have what's known as the model penal code. Destiny's just flailing. He's flailing. How do you exist like this? How does a person exist like Destiny? I don't get it. I can't believe it. I legitimately, like, I am apoplectic. I don't like, how does he exist? How does he have fans? It's shocking. Like, this is one of those things where it's putting me into an existential, Mike, you're wrong about Destiny being stupid. In fact, he's so smart, he should encouraging him to represent himself in court. I would, but Destiny won't represent himself in court because he's lazy. All right? Like, he would never actually do it because he's lazy. That's what you're missing out. He's lazy. So he'll cope and be like, well, to him, being lazy isn't a problem. So he'll be like, I'm lazy, not stupid. And then he'll hire someone else, right? So there's no way to tell him, like, yeah, you know, for him, he doesn't care if you call him lazy, right? People have been calling him lazy his entire life. And he's like, I am where I am. I guess being lazy isn't bad. So it's pointless to try to convince him to represent himself. Destiny's entire grift is to make fascism seem reasonable. No, Destiny, that's close. Destiny's entire grift is to be the court jester for fascists. His entire thing is to be the court cuck for fascists. Basically, it's like, you know, he stands there and goes, I'm a blue hair open. My marriage is open and I have blue hair. Would you like to fuck my wife? That's Destiny's job for conservatives. It's to be the Alan Combs, to be the thing that you laugh at and go, that's what a liberal is like. Look how stupid he is. Look how much of a cuck he is. That's his role.
How recent is recent?
I would suppose in the last 50 to 100 years.
And this is kind of Destiny in a nutshell, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about. So he's just like, he's fumbling with this guy who's telling him things that are factual. And this guy learned these things in an educational environment where people were taught, okay, this is basic stuff. America's a common law system. This guy has probably read, 500 court cases where they cite common law jurisprudence. And so for him, it's such a firmly founded position that he would never thought in a million years that he would have to come in here and explain it to Destiny. You just can't believe it's happening to you because it's so basic. That's the same thing that happened to me when he said that rich people didn't borrow against their stocks, right? Like, I was shocked. I was like, of course they do. Of course they can. And it was like, what? You're shocked. And then it's like, well, okay, let's stop the conversation for 5 seconds. What source would you believe, Destiny? But Destiny's going to keep this guy in this like circle because he's not stopping the conversation. Because this is a problem with, this is why it's not a debate, because there is no third party that they could go to adjudicate a dispute, right? And this is Destiny in a nutshell. It's not about like debating a point. It's about appearing to maintain momentum.
Maybe 150, maybe.
Okay, I would have to go and look up like how, because I thought that there was codified criminal statutes like even prior to the formation of the Constitution. That like even like under the Articles of Confederation, there were states that had codified like.
There may have been, but for example, Texas's Constitution says that the common law of England that was in effect as of the date of the ratification of Texas's Constitution is the law.
I think,
right?
but that was only for gaps that weren't explicitly maintained or dealt with by, like if you go to Texas and we charge somebody with a crime, they're being charged with a Texas statute. There's going to be a statute that's cited there, not like a random common law thing.
Correct,
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Because the way that it works is if there's a statute that specifically displaces a common law rule, then that statute displaces the common law rule. But it has to explicitly displace the common law rule.
Sure. Okay, I don't know how we got onto common law, but
I don't know how we got onto this because you don't know what you're talking about basic shit. This is also another Destiny trick. When he doesn't know what he's talking about, he'll just be like, I don't know how we got here. You argued it the whole way, you dumb fuck. You were like, no, we're not a common law place. We're a civil code. And he's like, no, we're not.
This is actually one of my I love Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence. It's amazing. It's
also
beautiful.
I didn't know that. Well, as a real quick thing, I just want to say, because I didn't know the conversation would go on so long. I was supposed to leave at 5, so we got like 5 more minutes because I have a flight I've got to catch because I'm going up to New York because I'm doing some stuff tomorrow. So yeah, go ahead. I'll let you. Yeah, any final points? So we can also talk in the future if you ever want to as well. Yeah,
I would love to. I think this was brilliant. I think this was instructive.
I would like to have access to your clout, sir. This was brilliant. The way you failed middle school level knowledge tests.
But here's my argument in favor of the common law as opposed to statutory law. And so the common law is a neural network of the greatest legal minds that have ever contemplated the same issues over time from 1215 to today. And so you have the same great legal minds working, refining, bit by bit, fixing this thing versus a statute, which is whatever 50% plus 1 members of a bunch of idiots who are elected to office managed to put down into writing. And so the advantage of the common law is the best people, the greatest minds that have ever thought about this for 1,000 years.
I honest to God don't even know what this guy is talking about. And what I mean by that is like, I didn't see the beginning of this, only the fact that Destiny's dumber than fucking dirt. We're done there. Also, Destiny doesn't know what he's talking about. So you're really just, it's pearls before swine. Like literally idiots. Oh my God. This is the guy interpreting the law for saying how he's not owned. Guys, he's not going to prison because of sexual cyber harassment. Guys, he is not going to lose his court case because this guy is interpreting the law. He didn't know that common law exists. Destiny, please, for the love of God, stop talking. Save yourself. Oh my God. Holy shit, dude. That's shocking. That's actually shocking. Stop giving him good advice. He's too arrogant to listen to good advice. He's dumb as fuck. Holy shit. Holy shit. Leaving aside the merits of the arguments in general, his behavior is a dumb guy behavior. It's an example for other dumb guys to follow. That's why they all behave like him. Yeah, that's exactly that's what's wrong with Destiny. Is he's very stupid and his fans copy his behavior. Where they think Destiny Googles things and then posts. I can Google things and post. And you just it's a plague. It's a plague on the internet. And I want to give Destiny credit. I think he's also a big source of this kind of behavior, actually. Like unbelievable. It's like it's one of those things that makes you just sit there and go like, holy fucking hell, is he really this stupid? Is he really this dumb as fuck? Audience name a wide range of people and asked to identify the first news influencer who comes to mind for them. Phil DeFranco, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Under the Desk News, Carlos Eduardo Espina, Donald Trump, Dan Bongino, Mr. Beast, Joe Rogan, Tim Pool, Candace Owens, Dylan Page, Hasanabi, Brian Tyler Cohen, Elon Musk, Lisa Romard, Steven Crowder, Kai Cenat. I think these people just named any influencer they could think of. They just mentioned any influencer they could think of. Philly DeFranco says that what the fuck? I didn't expect to see myself in a Pew Research poll this morning. I guess it could be worse. I guess it could be worse. All right, First Thought just dropped a new video. Let's get into it.
Tariffs have crashed global trade, fueled the Great Depression, helped Nazis rise to power, and left American families paying thousands more for everyday goods, worsening the problems they claim to solve.
I think one of the things that's really crazy for me overall is just the idea that shock doctrine stuff works. And there is not a single example where shock doctrine policies have made a country stronger. None. And the United States of America is doing it to itself. Like, these people are so lost in their own sauce that they're doing it to America. Like, we're shock doctrining ourselves. And this is honestly like one of those things where I'm kind of sitting back. Did you see the Mr. Beast quote where he stated life was easier without money? Then give me your money then. If life is easier without money, give me all your money. Give me all your money, Mr. Beast. Prove it. Elon's tech bros are self-admitted accelerationists. Accelerationists to what? Being defeated by China? What do you think is going to win? Okay, this is a basic foundational belief of this stream that is oftentimes implied but not outright said. So I'm going to say a foundational belief of this stream. And I'm going to try to be concise. I'm going to do my best. All right, are you guys ready? Human beings are more powerful when they are organized collectively. A corollary of that point is that the largest organizations of humanity, when objectively measured, are states. Therefore, you can derive that state power is the most powerful and important organization of human beings, and therefore, highly organized states are the most capable of affecting their will upon the world. And finally, if these states are the most effective way to affect their will upon the world, in order for us to achieve our ends, the wisest course is to seize state power. That is a foundational belief of this stream. Our mission as leftists is to seize state power to effectuate our will upon the world. And what is power? Power is the ability to force somebody who doesn't want to comply to comply. And there's a lot of different ways that you could force a person to do a thing they don't want to do. I like the softer ways, but I'm also okay with the harder ways. Hey, Mike, I'm a Canadian. Do you think I should make an effort to exclusively buy Canadian? I mean, if it feels good, you should do it. And so, okay, now that we said that foundational belief of my stream, why am I very not even that worked up about the United States being destroyed? Well, because if the United States is destroyed or becomes significantly impaired, what country is the most powerful country in the world? Communist China. So if the United States falls into this kind of shock doctrine, libertarian accelerationist trap, then communist China will be the most powerful nation on the planet. And so there's a certain level of, it's hard for me to get worked up, right? It's hard for me to get too worked up about it.
But even with all these drawbacks, the US loves this blunt economic weapon, and the incoming president plans to use it forcefully. His first round of tariffs forced
China is a totalitarian hellhole, bro. Just go on Red Note for 5 minutes. Just go on Red Note for 5 minutes.
Companies to shift entire supply chains, crushed others they were meant to save, and provoked retaliations that hurt farmers and workers alike. In this episode, we'll explain the real-world consequences of tariffs and what can be expected from Trump's promises. These new tariffs will be less a weapon against US enemies and more a game of Russian roulette. But before we do, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank our channel sponsor, Aura. And actually, it's a really important time to talk about them because...
Okay. Unethical reacts. Sorry, but we're being unethical today.
A huge wake-up call. You've never been more vulnerable online than you are right information to. They also have and your data, not data breaches. And if you don't, absolutely free. Okay, back to the video.
Unethical reacts.
So, what is a tariff? In a nutshell, tariffs are taxes on imports meant to protect local industries and create government revenue. Emphasis on meant to. The idea behind them is that by making foreign goods more expensive, consumers will buy domestic competitors, though this often means paying more since companies can sneakily raise prices to just below the tariff tax. There are two main types: value-added, those that tack on a percentage of the product's value, and specific tariffs, which add a fixed fee per unit. For instance, a 10% value-added tariff on a $1,000 laptop adds $100, while a $2 specific tariff on shoes adds $2 to each pair of shoes. These taxes can apply to anything, from food and electronics to steel and aluminum, which increases the price of these items and anything that requires them. Today, approximately 2/3 of global trade involves products assembled from parts made from other countries. Tariffs force companies to renegotiate contracts, find new suppliers, or absorb higher costs, all of which create inefficiencies that complicate and disrupt trade. For example, the first Trump regime's tariffs on China went from less than 3% in 2017 to 24% by 2019. Large corporations.
China seeks stronger cooperation with Germany and the EU. China considers Germany and the European Union as a whole as strategic partners and wants stronger cooperation with them in the spirit of free trade and multilateralism. Foreign Minister Wang Yi told Chancellor Olaf Scholz China was willing to deepen all-around cooperation with Germany as part of bilateral efforts to maintain global peace and stability. Disgusting! Germany, whose huge car sector is reliant on China, voted last October against the European Union tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. According to the statement from the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Wang conveyed to Scholz China's appreciation of Germany's rational and pragmatic attitude toward the tariffs. The officials discussed the Russian-Ukraine conflict, with Wang saying China and Europe share the goal of wanting to move towards a peaceful resolution of the crisis. China is willing to maintain communication with Germany and other relevant parties and continue to play a constructive role in promoting peace talks, Wang said. Following increased pressure from the United States on European members of NATO to increase their defense expenditure, Wang spoke of the necessity for balanced, effective, and sustainable European security framework, an official Chinese statement said. Wang on Friday gave a speech at the Munich conference laying out China's position on the Ukraine war and urging peace talks that included all stakeholders involved in the conflict. According to a separate statement from China, Wang also told his German counterpart on the sidelines of the conference that Germany has been a stabilizing force in its relation with the EU. Wang said China saw no fundamental conflicts between it and the EU in remarks to Kaja Kallas, the EU's foreign policy chief, and said China was willing to work to enhance mutual understanding and pursue global stability. During his time in Munich, Wang also met his French counterpart and urged a cooling of any trade friction. As comprehensive strategic partners, we believe that China and France and China and the EU have the wisdom and ability to handle the matter properly, he said. These warmongers, they're saying they want to trade. Oh, God, fuck these warmongers. No cheap solar panels. No cheap electric vehicles. How dare you try to invest in fusion research? We must destroy this country. They want to sail their boats. They want to sail boats in the South China Sea. How dare they? That's only 10,000 miles away from Europe. It's practically next door.
Like Cisco and Macy's moved production to places like Vietnam and Malaysia, which added additional costs and wasteful supply chain.
Let me introduce you to a Chinese woman so you could become a Chinese citizen. I don't need your help to meet women, but thank you.
Diversions as they scrambled to avoid these new tariffs. The US has historically used tariffs to isolate itself economically. After World War I, the US emerged as the least damaged, richest, and biggest economy in the world.
The Luigi court is packed. He's gonna have so many groupies, dude. He's got so many groupies. You kill one CEO and look how many groupies you get. Look how many supporters you get. Wow. Christ almighty. You kill one CEO and you instantly become a rock star. That's crazy. Allegedly kill one CEO. Luigi is practically a CCP agent. He hangs around a lot with Chinese people. That is the most profoundly racist thing I've ever heard in my life. That may be one of the most profoundly racist things I've ever heard that doesn't include a slur. This is my reaction. Whenever somebody's like, what do you think about Luigi killing that guy?
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
That's my reaction whenever somebody brings up Luigi. I didn't see anything. Did you guys see anything? I didn't see anything.
Yet they still passed the Emergency Tariff Act in 1921 and the Fordney-McCumber Tariff a year later, which imposed duties of up to 50%, which made it even harder for Europe to repay their debts to the US. The Smoot-Hawley tariff in 1930 took things to record levels, which provoked retaliation from France, Italy, and Japan, while Britain and Germany turned to quotas and their own protectionism. By 1933, global trade was near total collapse, falling to just 35% of 1929 levels, worsening the Great Depression and fueling an inflation and unemployment crisis in Germany that helped the Nazis seize power. Unsurprisingly, fascism and protectionism don't fix anything.
Oh my God, chat, Condition Bleen hit the Order of Romeo, chat. If you don't know, chat, if you've been a subscriber on my stream for 5 years, you get a special customized chat badge called the Order of Romeo. It is so cool. All members of the Order of Romeo are like my best friends. 5 years. If you are an Order of Romeo haver, we should hang out. We should honestly do an Order of Romeo hangout. Just people that have subscribed for 5 years or more. That would be fun. Why is it called that? Because that was my dog, Romeo, who unfortunately passed. My dog, Romeo, who is a big member of the stream, unfortunately, he has passed. So, to commemorate him, we created the Order of Romeo. It was very cute.
1935, global trade had fallen even further, down to 28% of its pre-1929 levels. Since the 1940s, entrenched neoliberal dogma has asserted that free, open trade is the best way to boost productivity, to give consumers more choice, and to strengthen diplomatic ties. In 2016, lobbies favoring tighter protection had gained new momentum and influence over the Trump regime, which would break with nearly 80 years of US policy. They falsely claimed that US allies like Germany and major trade partners like China exploited this openness to grow their own surpluses and limited US exports, and that very strong tariffs were needed to fix the situation, which, understandably, spooked stakeholders both at home and abroad. Meanwhile, various industries warned that tariffs could raise household costs by up to $7,600 per year. But Trump soldiered on, pledging to revive domestic manufacturing through higher tariffs on imports, arguing it would stimulate US production. It's important to note here that the tariffs on China won rare bipartisan support, with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer calling China, quote, the real trade enemy threatening American jobs, echoing Trump's rhetoric. Washington slapped tariffs on products made in China to the tune of $375 billion. Many of these applied to consumer and industrial tech because of Trump's accusations that China was stealing intellectual property from big US tech companies on a large scale and through vague, unfair practices. Trump then began to focus on steel, claiming his tariffs would curtail unfair foreign competition. In spite of these promises, prices rose, job growth lagged behind other sectors, and stock values plummeted. What's more, because
Zazman, thank you for the 5-tier one. Holy shit, chat. We have a hype train. In a little bit, chat, we will be bringing on Yogopnik. Friend of the stream, Yogopnik, will be joining us very shortly. So, this is really, but that'll only happen if we hit the sub goal. Or I'm canceling the interview. I'm canceling the motherfucking interview if we do not get to 100 subs. I'm fucking canceling it. I'm saying, fuck you, Yogopnik, you piece of shit. Fuck off. They didn't want you here. Don't make me say that. Don't make me say that. Is Yogopnik from Yugoslavia? Yes, he is. He is Tito's strongest soldier. Okay? As am I. Balkanize the Central Committee. That's right. I hate you for making me give you more subs than VO. That's called 4. We're 17 subs away, chat. Once we hit the goal, I'll send the invite. Once we hit the goal, I'll send the invite. Okay. It looks like we're making it. It looks like we may make it. All right. What the fuck is this? Why did this pop up? Scared the shit out of me. Whew. When things just pop up right on your screen, you're like, what the fuck? All right, let's finish this video. Okay, chat. Looks like the top sub gifter now, in all seriousness, chat, I really want you to consider how important this stream is. Think about that. Think about that. Okay, I'm
these
just
tariffs are effectively taxes on U.S. companies that import steel. They ended up costing such firms nearly $3 billion per year. While
Louverture, thank you for the 5. Red Dawn, thank you for the 5. Anadol, thank you for the 5. Marble Honey, thank you for 19 subs. Cod Hera, thank you for 5. Vlad Kusuku, thank you for 5. Don Sid Bo, thank you for the 5. RK Monkey, thank you for the 5. The 6. Critacular, thank you for the 5. And Zazman, thank you for the 5. And Ham and Fist, thank you for the 20. That's what we're talking about. And Mr. Terrible Man, thank you for the 5. And everybody who subbed and resubbed, thank you so much. You guys, gals, non-binary pals are the best. Don't forget that the top sub donor and the top bit donor gets the conductor badge. So for as little as 201 bits, you can get the conductor badge right now. Cheers to 36 years spent the evening with the missus who made some amazing buffalo chicken street tacos, topped with Stilton blue cheese crumbles. Finished off the evening with manga boba tea and painted some D&D miniatures. It sounds like you're living the life, Jifram, honestly. It sounds like you're living every nerd's dream. You're living every white nerd's dream. And honestly, I'm jelly. That sounds great. I like blue cheese, but I'm also half Scottish. All right, on my mother's side. My grandfather, who was Scottish, with a Scottish accent, from Scotland, would eat Limburger cheese and raw onions. Now, if you've never had Limburger cheese, I encourage you to have some. There must have been some horrifying farts. We have an iron gut. You know, in like in Fallout, you can get the perk Iron Gut. We're born with it. Lead belly, exactly.
While steel firms saw partial rebounds after 2020, the persistent inefficiencies.
Water ice or Italian ice? It's Italian ice. It's Italian ice. I'm a very basic Italian ice boy. I like Rita's Italian ice, and I get the gelati. And my gelati at Rita's Italian ice is very basic bitch shit. I get vanilla custard with cherry ice. That hits the spot every fucking time. If you don't know what that means, why aren't you from the Northeast? You fucking suck. Rita's is open? It's February. Wait, is Rita's open? Did you try the Twitch flavor Rita's had at TwitchCon? I did indeed. When I saw Rita's Italian ice at TwitchCon, I like ran to it. I was like, oh my God, you guys are here. I was so happy. I was surrounded by these fucking West Coasters. Thank you so much for rescuing me. I've never had Italian ice.
Ever wondered what you should order when you visit Rita's? Well, have no fear. Professor Pickiest Eater is here to give you a little bit of Rita's Italian Ice 101. Whenever you visit Rita's, the first thing you need to decide is if you'll be getting the creamy custard, the refreshing ice, or both. So let's start with the creamy custard. At Rita's, you can choose from different flavors of custard including vanilla, chocolate, or a mix of both. And some days they even have special flavors like pistachio and salted caramel. From the Italian ice, the eclectic selection of flavors changes every week, giving you the opportunity for a new but still refreshing experience whenever you visit. Okay, so now, you're still undecided on which ice to get? Then order the Ice Flight, where you can sample 4 flavors of Italian ice with a dollop of custard in the center. It'll help you figure out which combination you like in case you want to order a gelati next. What's a gelati, you ask? The gelati is one of the best sellers of Rita's. It's a generous layer of your choice of Italian ice that's topped with creamy custard. And you can even...
Okay, it's not just topped. There's also custard at the bottom. This shit is legendary. I don't do this. Where the fuck is this guy in the Philippines? I was like, damn, Rita's is open in the Philippines now? It's in the Philippines now? I honestly should open my own Rita's. Like, if I had a business... If I had a business where I was exploiting people, Rita's Italian Ice would be it. That would be such a fucking good company, good business. It's so much better than like fucking yogurt. I hate yogurt shops. There, I said it. When I went to Bangkok, there was one there. Oh, okay, so it's going global now. That's crazy. That's crazy. Rita's is going global. Wow. Rita's franchise company, LLC, doing business as Rita's Italian Ice, originally and now informally known as Rita's Water Ice, is a privately owned and operated American quick service restaurant chain originated in the Philadelphia metropolitan area that expanded throughout and now operates primarily in the mid-Atlantic United States. I can't believe that this is blowing up. This is a Philadelphia... Oh my... Rita's was created one day after I was born? That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, let's get back to this video on politics.
Caused by the tariffs prevented a full recovery. These tariffs, justified by vague national security concerns, even led to friction with close allies like Canada, Germany, Japan, and South Korea. Of course, China didn't take this lying down, and responded with tariffs of their own targeting nearly 6,000 US products worth $109.3 billion, while hinting at more disruptive retaliation by curbing US farm imports, placing key American crops, like soybeans, at risk since US-China soybean trade accounts—
I'm the most tourist that ever touristed. Let's get our AI explanation of tourism, not tourists, being a tourist. Loyal, generous, and sensual. Loyal, generous, sensual, hard worker, stubborn, and materialistic. So true. Indulgent, hostile, domineering, gluttonous, jealous, lazy, money-oriented, and stubborn. I'm not money-oriented. That's the only thing. But it is true. I do like a different type of generosity. What's my Chinese zodiac? It sucks. I'm not going to say.
For about 25% of the global market. Also, 9 rounds of countermeasures targeted over $31.8 billion in US food exports. Focusing heavily on American farm products. It slashed exports by 11
You flex how much you make and use a $50 camera. I don't flex how much I make. The only time I ever flex how much I make is toward people who care about that kind of shit. Like if somebody comes in and is like, "You're just a broke boy and I'm the best," you know, I'm like, I make more than you, man. Why are you trying to come in here and act like you're rich? Like that's the only time I ever in a million years flex how much I make. Is what people for who that's important and their identity come in here and try to shit on me. That, or like in general. Well, there was a Rita's in Atlanta, but Google says it's temporarily closed because it's winter. The thing about Rita's is they tend to like close in winter because, you know, people aren't buying water ice when it's blizzarding outside because it's a Philadelphia chain. It's not a Southern California chain where you have, you know, ice cream sundaes every February.
$6 billion and redirected the sales outside the US. Overall, the US lost over $15 billion in farm trade, while competitors in South America and Europe gained ground in critical items like soybeans and pork. Meanwhile, during all this, China took a commanding lead in 5G technology worldwide thanks to Huawei hardware and the government's massive investment in their space program. Finally, after over 16 months of negotiations, the US and China agreed to a limited trade deal.
Did you guys hear that Elon wants to destroy the International Space Station faster? So China will soon be the only country and only place with a space station in orbit. And their space station is awesome. And the International Space, like, what's crazy to me is this: the International Space Station cost, like, how much did it cost to get up there? Like $1 trillion or something insane. It's just wild that they just don't boost it up. Like, why don't they just boost it up to a much higher orbit and park it? And then later you have all this material, highly refined metals and things, you know, old solar panels that you could go and, like, you could later, you know, maybe reprocess or recycle, or it's crazy. Just sit it up there in the sky. And people are like, it's not worth it. It costs $10,000 a kilogram to put stuff in orbit. You're looking at it like a bureaucrat, which is, we have to who says you have to go up there and maintain it? Just have it go up there. Don't even maintain it. It doesn't have to be in use to still have value. You have to maintain it or it becomes a problem. Hypothetical problem. People say it's too expensive to put into a stable orbit. This is people thinking very literally, and this is a big issue. I don't know how they're going to deconstruct it. It's going to land in the Pacific. That's how they're going to deconstruct it. They're just going to crash it into the Pacific and hope it doesn't hit anybody. But it can still sustain damage from other orbiting particles. Okay. It's like, imagine you could put hundreds of tons of highly refined metals in close Earth orbit for us to go up and grab and refine or use for other things. And you're just like, nah, let's take the $1 trillion and throw it in the trash can. This is the Chinese space station. NASA needs to do. We don't have the capability to raise the ISS to a higher orbit. It would break apart. What do you mean? We do it every time we keep it in orbit now. We're always raising it to a higher orbit. What are you talking about? The only way it could be where it is has to constantly be raised. What are you talking about? It has to be boosted to stay in low Earth orbit all the time. What do you mean? Have any of the experiments in space helped humanity? He said on the internet, using his LCD monitor, talking on a computer. All right, let me put it to you another way. Let's imagine that we could capture an asteroid that was full of platinum, iron, nickel, and we could just park it in like near Earth orbit and go and mine it from time to time. Would that be worth doing? I think it's perpetually in that orbit due to gravity. It can't fall. Incorrect. There are still air particles that are slowing down the space station. It has to continually boost itself up. Okay, let's see what NASA says. Why did NASA decide to deorbit the space station instead of alternative options? Disassembly and return to Earth? Stupid. Boosting to a higher orbit, natural orbital decay with some random reentry, and controlled targeted reentry to a remote ocean area. NASA evaluated moving the station from its present orbit to a higher orbital regime where its lifetime could be theoretically extended, thereby preserving the spacecraft for future generations. The space station flies at an altitude where the Earth's atmosphere still creates drag and requires regular reboost to stay in orbit. The station operates in LEO, about 257 miles in altitude. It has a mass of more than 945 million pounds. Depending on solar activity, the station's orbital lifetime, the time before the station would naturally re-enter from atmospheric drag alone at this altitude, is 1 to 2 years without reboost. For this reason, the station cannot remain in orbit indefinitely, as it will naturally fall back to Earth, where an uncontrolled deorbit could pose a threat to people on the ground. Space station operations require a full-time crew, and as such, an inability to keep crews on board would rule out operating at high... I'm not saying keep it at a higher altitude with a crew. I'm just saying move it up there, and if we decide, hey, we would have grabbed some of the 1 million pounds of refined metals that are sitting there and reprocess them, you know, like how much is 1 million pounds? How much would it take to boost 1 million pounds of stuff to orbit? Going from orbit to a slightly higher altitude is a lot less energy than taking it from the surface of the Earth and accelerating it past all this atmosphere and accelerating it all. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Boosting the International Space Station require 120 to 140 meters a second of delta V for a 100-year target orbit lifetime, and 760 meters a second delta V for a greater than 10,000-year orbit lifetime. In comparison to 57 meters a second for controlled deorbit. So it's only twice as much? Ascending to these orbits would require the development of a new propulsive and tanker vehicle that does not currently exist. While still currently in development, vehicles such as SpaceX Starship are being designed to deliver significant amounts of cargo through these orbits. However, there are prohibitive engineering challenges when docking with such a large vehicle to the space station and being able to use its thrusters while remaining within the space station's structural margins. Other vehicles would require both new certifications to fly at higher altitudes and multiple flights to deliver propellant. The risk of a penetrating or catastrophic impact to the space station increases drastically above 257 miles, while higher altitudes provide a longer theoretical orbit life. The mean time between an impact event decreases from 51 years at the current operational altitude to less than 4 years at 497 mile to 700-year orbit. This means that the likelihood of an impact leaving a station unable to maneuver or react to future threat. Okay, so here's where they're assuming you want to keep the vehicle like pressurized and capable of operating as the vehicle that it is. I'm not saying that. Like, I'm saying it's 1 million pounds of refined metal that cost $1 trillion to get there. Wouldn't it be better to just stick it into an orbit where you can later, if you want, go grab that metal because it's cheap and already in orbit? I don't think they're not really responding to my argument. This is just like, oh no, you want to make it go higher so it could be a space station higher, and it's like, no, I mean, maybe that would be a smart idea to try to stick it at a Lagrange point or something. That might be interesting, but like, no, that's not what I was saying. Anyway, okay, basically my conclusion is what I'm saying is technically feasible, but it would cost money, and therefore it is easy and cheap to just crash the thing. So we're gonna do that.
Amounting to a truce in their trade war. The US agreed to put off a tariff increase on $250 billion of Chinese imports, and China agreed to buy $40 to $50 billion of US agricultural products, as well as, quote, to be more transparent in foreign market interventions, ease US entry into the financial services sector, and enhance enforcement of intellectual property rights. All told, these 7 rounds of tariff increases affected over $325 billion of exports.
So basically, it cost $150 billion to make, and we're just going to blow it up. Imagine somebody says, all right, we're blowing up this $150 billion thing because trying to come up with a different way of using it is hard. This is like 3 years of college tuition for every American that's in college. They're just blowing it up. Oh, well, it's only $150 billion. Let's crash it into the ocean. Please look up Kessler syndrome. SpaceX's dumb satellites are far more likely to cause Kessler syndrome than just having a space station be in a higher orbit. I mean, if nobody wants to buy it and nobody wants to do anything with it and nobody cares, then I guess blowing it up is the answer.
From China across 6,428 affected products, representing over 14% of exports. This incoherent struggle to balance strategic, economic, and political aims failed to meet any of Trump's stated goals. The deficit grew, prices went up on thousands of products, jobs were lost, and the US gained no new leverage in negotiations. China has seen and dealt with previous turbulence. For example, dependence on manufacturing exports in 2007 and 2008 dropped from 30% of GDP to 18%, which, somewhat counterintuitively, is due in part to its larger share of global production. Its import demand for manufacturing inputs slid from 23% to under 10% of GDP, keeping the trade surplus stable despite tariffs. Their Made in China 2025 program expanded local production of advanced goods, resulting in most value now being domestic. The Belt and Road Initiative emerged as part of this internal rebalancing.
Did you see the bus bombings and they were done by Israelis? Amazing.
But it also offers investment opportunities that promote international cooperation with an eye toward multilateral openness.
Little bear, little bear, little bear, little bear raid, little bear raid. Hey, little bear. I was just being sad that they're destroying the International Space Station. And people were like, no, they have to do it because it could cause Kessler syndrome. And they were just saying things they've heard. The bottom line is they're doing it because it's cheaper, chat. I don't care.
By linking overland and maritime routes spanning Asia, Europe, and beyond, the BRI takes advantage of this connectivity-driven trade growth. So far, only a quarter of its planned $1 trillion budget has been spent, with another $1 trillion secured through entities like the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The project includes 38 maritime agreements covering 47 countries, infrastructure investments in 34 countries, and port projects in places such as Genoa and Trieste in Italy. Strategic choke points like the Strait of Malacca and the Suez Canal have been addressed by adding new routes that avoid them entirely, which helps immensely in de-dollarization. In fact, even if these choke points weren't an issue politically, it's likely China would do it anyway in order to further diversify trade routes. So, what will another Trump term bring? Economically speaking, he's promised to impose a 10% tariff across the board for most, if not all, trading partners, as well as a whopping 60% tariff on all Chinese imports. From here, we can only speculate, but we'll do so based on past and current data. Let's start with income. Estimates show that low-income earners could see their take-home pay drop by as much as 3.5%, and middle-income earners would end up paying an extra $1,700 per year in taxes. For a country where 66% of the population can't afford a $1,000 emergency, this would be catastrophic. This is consistent with previous tariffs where the average household income shrank by $1,300. However, since there's much more trade today, that 10% tariff would act more like a consumption tax of up to $1,500 per year, which of course will contribute significantly to inflation. But let's zoom out and
my argument for the ISS is not to save it as an ISS. My argument is keep a million tons of metal in orbit that you could then use that metal for scrap later. Like if you could get some sort of like space refining or space manufacturing system in orbit, that would be that's what I'm arguing in favor. Just having a million pounds of refined metals would be much easier to manufacture things in orbit with using it as scrap. But if that's just not plausible, then I guess it's not plausible. I guess we're gonna have to spend another $200 billion to boost more shit. It is what it is.
Take a look at the bigger picture. A common, though imprecise, way to understand a nation's economy is by seeing how things like the GDP and purchasing power...
There's already way too much scrap metal in space. Oh, there's not. Oh, there's not. There's like trash that's flying in all sorts of eccentric orbits. Yeah, that's not the same thing as a huge thing, a huge structure that you could like grab a hold of and then melt down. But it is. It's okay. It's fine. Never mind. I'm too much of a visionary. I'm too much of a visionary. I know I'm not the only person to say this. I'm sure. I bet you there are people that are arguing what I'm saying out there who are astrophysicists or you know, NASA advisors. I cannot be the only person to say this. Just commonsensical economizing. It costs $10,000 a kilogram to go to space. There's no way people are like, okay, what is 100 million pounds divided by, you know, how much money is that? Just scrap value. You're jumping the gun. We don't need to have trains yet. The left can't afford to be space nerds yet. We need to focus. I've never heard anything more wrong in my entire life. I've never heard anything more wrong in my entire life. It's less than 1,500. Okay, so let's do the math. Let's do the math. Okay, you said it's 1,500 a kilogram. Is that how much it is to go to space? The ISS is 1 million pounds in mass. The space shuttle cost 1.2 billion to launch at 65,000 pounds. The Falcon 9 cost 60 million for slightly less than 50,000 pounds. Okay, we'll go by the Falcon 9. So I'll just grab a calculator real quick. So 1 million divided by 50,000 is 20 times 60 million, you said? So just launch costs would be what? So it would be like the values of mass to weight ratio will drastically change if Starship comes online. Somewhere around like $1.2 million of just to boost that back. Here you go, Mike. These guys are pleading the same case as you. Industry sees missed opportunity at the orbiting ISS. NASA's plan to spend $1 billion on a tug to deorbit the International Space Station is a missed opportunity to instead repurpose or recycle the station, some in industry argue. Spending $1 billion to bring down the station sends the wrong message. It is a missed opportunity to instead repurpose elements of the station, recycling material that could be used for other commercial applications. As technology matures, certainly in the next decade, we're going to get to the point where we're going to be able to reuse and recycle a lot of those materials. Instead of letting it burn up and lose all that economic value, you take it to a foundry in space and break it down into raw materials. Oh, okay, so I'm not the only person to say this. The right thing to do is bring it down, said another panelist, Robert Haig, president of satellite servicing company Space Logistics. However, he saw benefits of finding ways to repurpose at least parts of the ISS. It would send a demand signal to industry that the entire world sees that this is important. There's a lot of sunk costs there. It would be a shame not to use it what we can, said Professor John Klein at George Washington Space Policy Institute. So basically, they just don't want to do it. It comes down to that.
Parity, which reflects the relative value of a currency by accounting for differences in local cost and price levels across countries, compare. A 10% blanket tariff
Tell
alone...
me you've never rebuilt a car before. Jesus Christ, Michael. Don't you know the first thing you do after going to a pick and pull for a parts car is to dump it in the ocean? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying use the ISS as a pick and pull for parts car. That's exactly what I'm saying. And then maybe one day we'll have refining capability in orbit, and you would be able to recycle shit. But maybe I'm too sci-fi brained. I don't know. It just seems to me that the most expensive part of going to space is the part where you go to space. And then if you have something in space already, it's probably better than trying to boost something new from the ground.
Can drain about 1% of GDP, and in combination with other measures, consumers might shoulder an extra 1.8% in expenses. That's roughly $500 billion annually. And while that sounds and is very concerning, its effect on purchasing power parity is much more important to you, the consumer. By some estimates, Trump's 10% blanket tariff will cost the American consumption base over $1 trillion just for your everyday items. And this is before inflation. That is very bad.
The problem with trying to dump it on the moon, Molotozone, is that takes a lot of energy to go from low Earth orbit to the moon. I don't know that that's feasible. That would be way more expensive. That's like crazy more expensive.
News. But why are the prices so high when they're supposed to protect local industry and make things cheaper?
All right, we're watching the tariffs
by
video.
limiting foreign imports, that also means that anything imported to make the stuff made in the USA will be affected by those tariffs, raising the product cost and therefore creating higher prices for you, the consumer. Tariffs from 2018 and 2019 raised cost for suppliers by more than 4%, contributing to a 1.4% drop in manufacturing jobs. And that's just the short-term effects. Research since shows that manufacturing employment did not rise long term, so the expectations for another, higher tariff are even worse. But the in-store cost increases are just a downstream factor. The cascade starts with suppliers and producers. In response to Trump's first tariffs, producers shifted operations abroad, a change which requires significant investment and effort. So others simply tried to avoid it by pretending to be from a country that isn't affected by the tariff. Schemes of this kind affect everything from mattresses to solar panels, and law enforcement was only able to stop about $500 million worth of evasions last.
By the way, they are building a high... Oh, did you guys see this? Vietnam is building high-speed rail. Vietnam is building high-speed rail. This was yesterday.
Rail tracks in Vietnam, built during its French colonial period, are struggling to keep up with demand. Now, the country is seeking a revamp, with Beijing as its backer. An $8 billion railway will be built later this year, connecting Vietnam's port city of Hai Phong to the city of Lao Cai on the border with China. Vietnam says it'll promote economic growth and tourism, carrying both passengers and freight cars at a higher speed.
Trade between China and Vietnam is already absolutely massive. And this railway, it's designed to make this trade faster, cheaper, and more predictable as well. So currently, China supplies much of the raw materials that fuels Vietnam's manufacturing sector. And keeping that pipeline steady is absolutely critical.
China will fund the project through loans as part of its Belt and Road Initiative, a $1 trillion mega project aimed at building a global infrastructure network. In neighboring Laos, China built a major high-speed rail in just a few years, but high-interest loans have left the country with a mountain of debt. For now in Vietnam, there's hope the project will give domestic transport much-needed improvement.
I am someone who is passionate about traveling. I have many goals to travel across Vietnam by motorbike and train. When this new railway line is completed, I'll give it a try.
If there is a new route, it will be even more convenient. I travel by train regularly and rarely travel by car. Although my house is located on the route between Hai Phong and Hanoi, I never travel by car. The train route is a direct line and it doesn't cause any congestion or disruptions.
Vietnam has long tried to balance relations between both the US and China, though it's sided with Washington against Beijing's increasing assertiveness in the contested waters of the South China Sea. But as foreign businesses turn their attention to Vietnam, it's China which has mapped a route for greater investment in the country's infrastructure. Bedad Mehichi, Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel.
Interesting. Interesting. So that was relevant because China, it's going to be very hard to sanction China and stop them that way.
Year. These schemes are openly described as a shell game by those in the industry, with all involved parties rolling the dice knowing there's a good chance their products will slip through the cracks. We can see the issue tariffs create by taking a look at one recent example, a US retailer that sold cabinets made in China. Tariffs caused the price of their products to skyrocket, so this company told their supplier to move operations to Malaysia before they'd continue as a customer. The supplier agreed. However, later inspections revealed containers labeled Made in Malaysia contained products that had actually been made in China, something which the supplier admitted afterwards. The cost of simply correcting the customs documents cost the retailer $650,000. This, of course, led to a lawsuit and other legal battles. When this effect is applied to the entire industry, we can see how cabinet imports from China plunged from 1.3 billion to just 26 million, while Vietnam's share surged. A tariff of 60%, like the one Trump is planning, will make this look tame by comparison, barely noteworthy. But since you probably don't buy cabinets all the time, let's look at some more relatable products. Smartphone shipments from places like India and South Korea climbed 42%, with laptops and chips also rerouted. Toys, gaming consoles, and lithium-ion batteries still predominantly come from China, and account for over 70% of US imports of all products in that category. Producers of things like semiconductors for all our tech gadgets and laptops moved their operations out of China. This has caused imports of these products from China to drop by 35% since 2017. But even with that drop, China still accounts for 14% of total US imports. Not to mention, many Vietnamese and Mexican goods rely on Chinese components. Needless to say, prices are about to make American jaws drop and make life that much more expensive. The US has wielded unprecedented hegemonic power for about 80 years now. This is because the US frequently abuses its power. And now, many countries are seeking alternative trade partners. Enter BRICS, a growing organization of countries, beginning with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that is building multipolar institutions that push for economic sovereignty outside of American control. At the
problem with BRICS is that they're not loyal to each other. It's a good idea on paper, but everyone's trying to cheat. They don't work as a block. And the reason why they don't work as a block, like the United States and Europe work as a block. Why do the United States and Europe work so well as a block? The answer is because Europe is a puppet. Europe is a puppet state. And so they don't actually have their own independent foreign policy, right? They just do what they're told. And with these countries, they don't have that kind of leverage over each other. So they're all trying to cheat. They're all trying to get advantage. And this is the one problem of this like a multipolar world, because if BRICS was cohered, if they did operate in a collective way, they would be more powerful than the West. And they're not, but they can't. And the reason why is, as I said, because, you know, the Russians are not reliable. Modi is not reliable. They're all trying to, you know, they all have these nationalist egos. It's not happening.
24 Kazan summit in Russia, BRICS gained 13 new members, including Belarus, Turkey, Algeria, Nigeria, and Uganda. In January of this year, 4 other countries joined: Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the UAE. Quite the diverse group. Partner status puts countries on the path to full membership, which looks increasingly valuable as the US empire continues to decline. Xi Jinping called the organization a vanguard for governance and international finance reform, and others have praised this impressive roster's potential to present a serious challenge to the dollar's dominance. BRICS, with its new members, now represents over 1/3 of the world's GDP, over 40% of the global population, and
sometimes people are like, oh, Mike, Russia is not, or excuse me, China isn't forcing communism on these other countries, therefore it's not helping spread communism. And I think that that is a incorrect analysis of the situation. I have a much longer view than it must happen tomorrow. My plan, I believe that left-wing politics will win the more and more the international system of dominance imposed by the US is dismantled. I think we'll see more Claudia Sheinbaums or Lula da Silvas all over the world. And that, you know, and then people even more further to the left. And these capitalist systems are not going to be able to be imposed on the rest. That's the system. That's the world I'm looking for, is we dismantle US dominance. We allow countries to operate within their own sovereignty. The majority of people will be left-leaning. The contradictions of capitalism will cause their own crises. And that's just the reality. And the one criticism I have of China is I do feel like they're too transactional. They're too transactional. I think they're a bit too pragmatic. Whereas the USSR was very dogmatic, China is a bit too pragmatic. They need to be a little bit, and I think Xi is kind of leaning a little bit more in the direction of becoming a little bit more ideologically aware. But I think China is basically focused on self-preservation at this point. They understand that they are not the hegemon. They understand that they need to make any friends they can to prevent them from being isolated and sanctioned and undermined like the Russians were. And I think that's kind of like they're fighting with the understanding of the failure of the Soviet Union.
Produces roughly 30% of the world's oil. This amassing of alliances and resources provides a stable and sound base.
If all the countries are neo-Nazis and pro-China, Xi would still trade with them all. If all the countries are neo-Nazis and pro-United States, Trump would still trade with them all. This is just, you know, it's like the United States is installing the neo-Nazi governments. You know what I mean? Like what are you talking about?
From which to create new international systems and standards. China's cross-border interbank payment system, for instance, boasts nearly 1,500 participating banks in 113 countries, handling $16.52 quadrillion in 2023. A respectable amount even when compared to SWIFT's $150 quadrillion. Russia has also built a domestic financial transaction system to replace SWIFT, which they've used for processing nearly all domestic financial transactions. Their Mir payment card accounts for the rest, and makes up half of Russian card transactions and functions overseas in places like Venezuela, Belarus, and parts of Africa. Russia is integrating their systems with Iran's for direct currency exchanges, which could be the start of a truly international system, rather than the weaponized and US-controlled SWIFT system. And while total substitution remains out of reach in the short term, alternative payment systems and domestic technologies have shown they're very good at finding ways around Western finance. The US empire is rapidly declining. That much is obvious. But what isn't as clear is how the US will handle it. This isn't the first time an empire has fallen since the Industrial Revolution.
I don't think it's, I mean, I think my main disagreement, I think people are getting a little bit ahead of themselves, which is the US is absolutely in a bad way, but it's just a flesh wound. It's just a flesh wound. They're not having a good time, but the U.S. is the foundations of the U.S. are extremely, extremely strong. And we'll see how much damage Trump does.
That honor goes to Britain. The US decline has much in common with Britain's, so we'll briefly take a look at their similarities to make an educated guess at what's on the horizon. As China has become a serious player on the world stage, the US has found itself staring down similar economic challenges as those Britain faced when Germany rapidly became a potent economic force at the end of the 19th century. With all the talk of how good and rational competition is, in practice, hegemonic powers hate it. Fast forward to after September 11th, 2001. American unipolarity seems untouchable, even though militant non-state organizations such as the Taliban were making a mockery of the US military, which, again, mirrors the kind of threats Britain encountered in their vast array of colonies. And who could forget the Bush regime's claim of being the lone country allowed to engage in preemptive interventions and preemptive strikes anywhere in the world? That isn't new either, because, as you've already guessed, Britain used to do the same thing. Not only that, but the overall unilateral posture taken by both countries during their decline goes against everything they claimed to believe in pursuit of power they'll never again attain. The US is desperately trying to hold on to its violent and coercive empire in any way it can, which makes the United States the most dangerous country on Earth. But it's not all doom and gloom. As we've seen, a fairer, more collaborative international monetary framework is being developed to reduce the dollar's dominance and ensure there's a stable system in place for when Western control falters. This is especially important as China is planning to settle oil in their own currency, the yuan. China is the world's largest importer of oil. Not using US dollars to process transactions will cause a significant disruption to the petrodollar status quo. The petrodollar system means most oil transactions are priced and settled in US dollars. Therefore, in order to buy oil, countries and their central banks must hold large reserves of US dollars, creating consistent demand for the US dollar in foreign exchange markets. So China setting their oil sales in yuan will require countries and central banks to exchange a significant portion of their dollars for yuan. This means an increase in demand for the yuan and decrease in demand for the dollar, with the consequence being the dollar's value dropping while the yuan's value rises. When a currency loses value, it becomes a driving force in inflation. Add to this what BRICS is doing to de-dollarize and provide a framework that allows for transactions between nations to be conducted in their own currencies, and it becomes crystal clear that the US is going to be left behind due to its unwillingness to give up hegemony in favor of cooperation and equality. Tariffs have their place here and there depending on economic policy, but the political right has opportunistically presented them as an easy fix to complex economic problems. History shows that they don't deliver, and often harm the people they're meant to protect by driving up prices, disrupting supply chains, stifling trade, and ensuring retaliation.
All right, give me 40 seconds.
Leaving entire industry scrambling and the working class paying the bill. From Hoover to
this thing.
I was gonna do Zoom, but
okay, let's do Zoom. That means, or I'm listening.
Or man, I was thinking, man, I need to. Oh, hold on. I was thinking about how, because normally I just bring the other person's camera in my Zoom. You know what I mean? And I assume you're using your camera right now, and you don't have an alternative camera.
No, like I'll open a different scene tab in my OBS where I'm not gonna have my camera on, and then I'm gonna cast the Zoom screen where it's gonna be your face and my face. But you will have to cast your camera in Zoom as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of really smart. Yeah.
Say again.
I'm kind of really smart. Yeah, I'm OBS queen here.
No, I just don't have I have like the most basic bitch setup because I don't, God damn it. I'm just thinking about how shitty it's gonna be. How am I gonna figure this out?
You like the place where you will usually stream, like where you show your browser. That's where I would put the Zoom screen, right? And then it's gonna be my face and your face, and you kill the camera that's showing up in your corner. I'm guessing.
Yeah. All right, we'll figure it out.
But we mute ourselves on this thing so that we utilize Twitch's whatever.
How do we merge chats? Is what I want to know.
There's a button. I think as you initiated it, you should have a button above something, like above your chat in Stream Manager. I think.
Okay. Let me look.
Check it out.
Is it
merged? Meanwhile, I'll mute myself here and join Zoom.
Yeah. We'll figure this shit out. How do I merge this? I don't see the button.
There should be stream together. Give us feedback, notifications.
I fucking hate this shit.
Shared chat. No. Look for it. Chat. Help my guy out. Help my guy out about merging chats.
We're figuring this out.
Okay, now I'm muting myself here and joining on Zoom. Okay, one second.
Fuck. Okay, it says shared chat. Okay, pop out, guest star. Level up your collaboration with share chat, share viewers. Combine chats with your collaborators and let your... Okay, start share chat. We did it? Are we in shared chat? Did we do it? Did we figure it out?
Chat is shared. Chat is shared. Now join Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Sick, bro. The fucking thing is going fast.
This is slow for me. What's going on? Why is it so slow? Is this your chat? Slowing my... No, I'm kidding. Okay, I'm gonna mute this and we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me now try and join through Zoom.
All right, chat. You're gonna see how messy my my office is, which is something I probably should have considered. Hold on. All right, hold on. Okay, we're going over to our interview scene right now. Chiron 2 closed. This is going to be a little bit different. Okay, it's gonna be a little bit more scuffed, but
okay, that is your best picture of all time.
it's a inside joke from from a very long time ago.
Stream like
this is me as a lib.
Then we show
this
video.
is lib Mike. This is my we have you.
Should be showing video.
Let me see if I can get
now, how do I make the videos like show both at the same time? There we go, my beautiful man.
So
can you hear me? I cannot hear you on Zoom though. You're not. You do not have audio.
Oh shit! Hold on.
No audio.
But you can't hear me?
No, nothing. All
right, try again. What about now?
Wait, now Zoom. Let me.
Okay,
Zoom
this is working.
meeting.
This is working. Okay, so here's what we do.
There
Chat.
we go.
Watch this.
Oh my god. Okay, it doesn't look too ugly on my side. Corporate chatters. I still can't hear you, bruv. I still cannot.
Can you hear me? Am I talking? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yo, Gopnik, can you hear me? Buddy?
Cannot hear you. Cannot hear you. Okay, like this. Hey, corporate chatters. How do I?
I can hear him fine.
Say something. I think I might hear you now.
Stream can hear
Say a
him.
word.
We can hear Mike,
Okay,
but he
it's
can't hear me.
streaming into OBS, but I cannot hear you on my thing. I cannot actually hear you from the speakers. I think I might know what the problem is. 1 second. We will figure this out. God damn it. We will figure this out. Settings.
Oh, this is
Audio.
so fucking based. I love it so much. This is so based.
Microphone. Select the speaker. Uno segundo. Say a thing now. I should hear you now.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Fucking beautiful. Art. Now, final thing, because I only have your beautiful face just plastered in the middle, and I'm like tiny above. How do I rotate cams on Zoom? It's been a second since I've been a corporate dog. How do I all of us?
Gosh, you know, I think you on the top there's like a view, and there's like a different view settings, and I do gallery.
Gallery.
You see?
Wow! Oh, mamma mia! Oh, Lord! Okay, very good. Holy shit! There you go. We did it. Only took 5 minutes.
We did the share chat. We got cameras on both sides, and I even have what I'm looking at on my screen. So I have like I have like 3 tiles, so that we can like look at what I can show what I'm showing. You know, I think I might also be able to share it to you. No, fuck it. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I flipped you, so you're gonna look weird to chatters that are often in your chat.
I don't care.
But I need to flip myself so I don't look weird to myself. Okay, this looks semi-ugly, but doable.
Who gives a fuck?
Side. Who gives a fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is everything a communist have ever done throughout history is scuffed as fuck. This is just a reality. It is until we get to regime level where things start to get cleaned up. All right.
Yeah, it's like 90% LARP about theory, and then when you're actually putting it into practice, it's like 100% improvisation. You're like, I guess the state is good now. I don't fucking know.
Exactly. Well, everybody, this is friend of the show, Yogopnik. I've only been on your podcast one time, which is a little bit insulting.
We will repeat that. Oh, this is my first time coming on your show. So,
so okay,
you never paid back. You know, you never paid back. Now you paid back. Now you're gonna.
Okay, great. And so, how are you enjoying? If you don't know who Yogopnik is, you have your own channel on YouTube. You've now begun streaming at Yogopnik Twitch, which now that we're shared chat, everybody can hit the follow button.
Thank
over
you.
There.
That would be very kind. Thank you very much, Go.
You are also a co-host of the program podcast. I highly recommend you give that a listen. Your fellow content creators, Second Thought and Hakeem. And I would kind of consider you a little bit to my right, chat. Not quite as left as me.
Yeah.
A little bit to my right. A little 100%. Bit more. Like
everybody's to the right of you, bro. Everybody's to the right. No, I am to the right of you because like being a Twitch streamer, being a streamer is de facto right wing. But I've somehow managed to make it even worse because I've united the 3 dots of the unholiest of unholy, which is Twitch streamer, YouTuber, and God fucking damn it, podcaster. By the way, how do you put them on the hierarchy? Obviously, all three of those jobs are the best jobs on the planet.
I mean, like,
and
which
the
is more
hardest
left
jobs.
wing than the other?
No, which is like more cringe than the other. Podcaster is the cringest, like objectively. Like if you only do a podcast and don't do anything, it's very cringe.
No, you're right. I think podcast is the most cringe because it's the most pretentious. You know what I mean? It's
I
like,
never got that. Pretentious how? Like
okay,
how
because
is
it's
podcasting?
I'm making a radio show and here's our ads. Have you ever wanted to sleep better? Have our CBD. And it's like, you know, it's very much in the form of a radio. It's like, Mommy, I made a radio show in my garage. So I think that's more cringe. I think,
but then again, everybody and their fucking mother is a podcaster. I feel like when an average Joe hears podcaster, they're imagining Hawk to a girl, or the fucking guys like buy my course, brother. I will make you very rich, or the crypto dudes, etc., etc. That's even like
that's why it's also more cringe though, because it's like
it is more cringe.
It's like so I'm agreeing with you that that podcasting is the most cringe. As far as YouTube versus Twitch, that's tough. That's tough for me because like I feel that streaming is, I think what redeems streaming for me is we're very self-aware of being slop. We're very self-aware of like the ethereal nature of our content and how it's like you make it, people watch it immediately, and then it goes bad, right? And then you make a new thing. And so you're constantly, it's like, it's in the moment and everybody's self-aware of that. And I think that redeems it a little bit because it reduces how like self-important it is. Like each stream isn't the most important stream. Like, whereas when you make a YouTube video, there's a certain level of like, I'm making this and you're editing and you know, you get pretensions. And I think YouTubers are a little bit more pretentious. And
it's extra hypocritical because even in our space, or whatever you want to call it, like entertainment with a little bit of political commentary or political agitation, if you're a bit more self-assured in the stuff that you're actually producing, it's extra hypocritical because like streamers get shit for quote unquote stealing other people's content and watching their shit and like responding to it, but 95%, again, even in our field, of the videos that get made for YouTube that are covering a particular topic have already been done. Like people just stylize the video a little bit differently, use the exact same arguments as the previous guy, girl, or enemy, and put it out. And, you know, stand on top of it as if they, I don't know, fucking introduced advanced new theory and they're the next, I don't fucking know, Engels. It's that I completely agree is what I'm saying. There is a certain level of pretentious that comes with YouTube content that does not exist in the feeble mind of a Twitch peasant. Yeah.
I mean, gosh, I agree with that completely. And the other thing is, I think YouTube is also, it's the pretension thing. Like everything is super plagiarized, right? Like how many people have like huge channels where they just plagiarize Wikipedia articles and then repeat it over like really poorly made stick figure drawings? And these people are like multi-million subscribers, right? But they don't.
That's why the whole like LARPy dead internet theory or whatever, it like hits the nail on the head, but only halfway through, because they're like, oh, this is just like algorithms reproducing shit. It's just like AI printing out shit. No, yes, sure, there's a lot of that stuff. You know, fucking. Did you see the minion on the cross? The minion on the cross, the fucking legendary meme. But it's also just like. Because again, blah blah blah, not to be the local fucking commie, but profit motive, and now you have a shit ton of people that are not doing it because of passion, because of artistic ingenuity, because they actually care about the topic that they are writing on, that they are depicting, etc., etc. There's hundreds of thousands upon thousands of people that have gotten into the quote unquote content game, even on the side of making essays, making historical content, making analytical content, making political content, 100%. Only to make some fucking money. Dude, you probably have like massive channels that are like 5, 6, 7, 8 multi-million-dollar channels that are probably owned by a guy that like literally just pays writers and pays editors and goes to fucking Hawaii, like never works ever. Especially because the entry, financial barrier to entry is 0. It's buy a fucking mic and hope that the algorithm likes you eventually. So that's why it's turning into slop. So what I'm saying is, dead internet theory to an extent is correct, but it doesn't need to be fucking AI. It's just like passionless drones that are making content for the sake of content.
I would say, like, okay, so I was just looking over a very popular YouTuber's channel by the name of Destiny. I don't know if you're familiar with Destiny. He's popular on YouTube. He's kind of what I consider to be the quintessential YouTuber, in the sense that he knows absolutely. I have no idea who
that is, by the way. Absolutely no idea who that is.
Yeah. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about on any topic. And but he also acts super arrogant while sexually exploiting his audience. So for me, he's kind of like the representative of what a YouTube creator is like, which is completely dumb as fuck, doesn't know anything. Like, we just watched a clip today where he didn't know what common law was, and he was like arguing with an attorney about how America has common law, and which is a very basic kind of 101 American, poli-sci level take. And it's like, okay, first, if you don't know what common law is, that's fine. But you don't then say, I know how to interpret law better than a lawyer. You know what I mean? So,
it's a fucking hot take economy for the sake of the hot take economy. But and it's completely like vibes based, bro. Like, so
Correct.
He has those particular vibes, and people that watch him have the same rapey vibes, let's be fucking honest, and they're gonna listen to everything he says because he's like the apex rapist guy. So they're like, oh, fucking phenomenal, this is the fucking wolf that I need to stand behind in my march towards eternal truth through one Wikipedia article at a time.
Well, this is something that I wanted to ask you.
Massive,
Well, this is what, just to like kind of frame what I'm saying, and this is like the issue that I think is facing politics in this new era of content. Like, live streaming content is actually, and like making YouTube videos is what politics will be for the rest of our lives. Like, number one, like that's unless some more immersive form takes hold. Like, people are going to be making short form content, and they're going to be live streaming. And the reason why I know that is Mexico. Like, AMLO was basically a live streamer. Every day he would go and he would do like a 4-hour live stream, like me, in front of, and he would get hundreds of thousands of people watching. And the thing is, it worked, because even though AMLO is really a weird guy, because he was like going around the media and he was engaging with the Mexican population and talking about the policies that he was doing. Now, Claudia does the same thing, Claudia Scheinbaum. Now, listen, I have my critiques of Artie, but it's, you can't deny that they are the most popular, like, left-leaning party in the world right now, outside of the Communist Party of China. And like, that is based on the fact that they figured out we're in the live streaming era, and just going in front of people and talking them to directly and treating them with respect, right? Like, not just giving them grade 5 level takes, but actually showing depth, bringing on experts, talking about the issues, treating the Mexican population like they're smart enough to understand this stuff. And that has resulted in massive, like, loyalty. And so,
you know how much fucking logistics you need to fill a whole ass Colosseum every single day, 4 times a week? Imagine filling 100 Colosseums 4 times a week for 5 to 6 hours, with more people coming in. The second somebody goes out, new people come in. Impossible, right? Then this little thing called the fucking internet erupts, and we can quite literally do this, and some politicians figured out how to properly utilize it. The game is completely changed, and we will, like, I completely agree with your take, and we will see even like established quote unquote political figures start to utilize
God, I hope
it
they
as well.
do.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
But there's a dark side to that potentially, right? The fucking misinformation flows like a river now. You can imagine how it's going to flow when they have access to much more people than they've had access to previously, that they can lie to quite literally directly.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the mainstream media, like, it used to be, I think why the mainstream media failed so much is because it was about manufacturing consent for what elite consensus was. So it's like the elites figured out we're going to go to war with China, right? Or we're going to go to war with the Soviet Union. We're going to invade Vietnam. And the mass media was just a way in which the elites' beliefs were inculcated into the masses. And so they were done in a very straightforward, it was more like conclusions being transmitted to the audience. It wasn't a democratic dialogue between like the people and the elites to figure out what is, you know, the reasonable policies. It was the elites dictating to.
It's like these institutions, these organizations trying to tell me what to think.
Exactly.
But when there's a guy with a little camera looking me straight in the eyes through the camera, then it's more humanized. Even though, like, probably half of his stakes, if we're talking politicians, also come from said institution. But because it's much more organic, it's much easier to swallow and therefore much easier to trust. Yeah, no, dude, the streaming can change the whole fucking game.
Yeah, and also, like, those of us, like you and I exist because of the social media milieu, right? Like,
literally. Because
I can have, and you have discussions with our audiences that get into depth, where we can talk about the historical evidence. We treat them like adults, and we talk to them like, well, maybe not in your community, but in my community, we treat them like adults, and we respect their intellect, and we you know, when we talk about the issues like American foreign policy or Medicare for all, we're not talking to you like you're 5. We're talking to you like I expect you to understand being an adult and why these policies are important, and going into the depth. And going into and treating you,
and they
like
understand it, and they get it, and they learn something, and they reply, and they're like, "Oh, I never saw it from that perspective. That's kind of fucking interesting." And then you slowly see them blossoming. That was the biggest surprise, honestly, because when before I started doing this whole fucking thing, and I would watch, you know, some streamers, not always political, but you know, in general, and I would see them constantly, like, very violently, even arguing with chat, which is sometimes necessary because you get hogs in chat, and then you treat them as a pet, and it can even be fun. You milk the content out of it, etc., and then the rest of chat can learn something new from your interaction with whatever, sometimes well-intentioned, sometimes not well-intentioned points that they are throwing your way, right? But I was expecting to get a lot more, you know, completely unhinged pieces of shit in chat. And I've been doing this on and off. Now I'm trying to, from the beginning of this year, to fully become a streamer or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah. Dude, I will only steal the weekends, bro. Yo, Mike,
weekend's a good time.
Normal human being does not stream on weekends. And when you feel that, the fucking, that lack of heroin, that Mike heroin over the weekends, there's an unhinged, masked fucking bot.
I mean, listen, like, I respect the achievements of organized labor, and I don't want to be somebody who undercuts that by streaming on the weekend. You know what I mean, chat? Like,
motherfucker.
I would be doing Race to the Bottom. And so even though it would be good for me to stream on the weekend, I'm sacrificing for you guys and for the cause, because I don't want you to have to be forced to stream on the week or work on the weekends. So
yes,
consider me as the ultimate
Mm-hmm.
person in solidarity. You know what I mean? Like, I show my solidarity with the worker, and anybody. No, I'm fucking.
Just the thing that I wanted to say earlier, I was surprised how smart chat is, how well-intentioned, like 99% of these people are, how much they want to learn when it's learning time, how much they just want to hang out when it's hangout time, how much also we can fucking learn from these fuckers. Like, you know, when I started, I was constantly screaming at them, literally committing Twitch suicide. Stop watching me, go touch some fucking grass. Turns out most of them also do. They just, you know, also listen to me while they work out, while they study, etc. All of them have, to an extent, very well established, decent fucking lives. They just, you know, they don't believe that the peak of humanity is this fucking mega mall we call capitalism. So they come and they create communities, and they interact with us as well, and it becomes something real. Basically, TLDR, I thought that it's going to be far more toxic than it is.
Well, the thing about streaming is that the community reflects the creator. So if you
that's why they're all horny all the time, motherfucker.
Exactly. Your audience is very horny because you're horny, right?
And yours is what? Very smart,
you know,
very erudite, and
yeah. I have an emote just for people like you called DSA Bonk.
Yeah.
Whenever anybody is acting like a Gopnik in my chat, you know, they get clubbed, and that's how we keep them in line. But I will say this. So like, yeah, no, that's what I love about streaming. The other thing that's very funny is like conservatives are actually scared. The most important emotion for the conservative movement is fear. And so when you when you have an open chat, you're like, come bring me your conservative, arguments and let's have a conversation with it. That's the thing they're the most scared of, because they know deep down that what they believe cannot really firmly be supported by the evidence. And so having an open chat, having the ability for people to come in here and try to like make points kind of demonstrates to your audience and the new people in your community just how vapid they are and how little foundation they have for their beliefs. Whether it's stuff like racism or defense of neoliberal capitalism or whatever. What you actually find is the people that are coming into your chat to defend these things, they usually just act up. They usually just like throw out an insult or something, right? Or they act like a child, a troll. And that's like pretty much the peak of conservative thought at this point on the internet. Like you're not like Asmon's Gold chat is not out here, offering us treatises on neoliberal development theory. You know what I mean? These are just guys going like, we got the better culture.
Yeah. And even like, let's imagine they exist, and sometimes they do exist. The 5% of rightoids that are not like just vapid, hateful, fearful.
You mean the capitalist class?
Economic cuckolds or whatever. They usually, the type of fucking conservatives that are the way they are because they've never really even interacted with a relatively progressive person ever. And they have this image of this fucking unhinged communist that wants to come and take away their guns or whatever shit. Streams really allow for them to potentially come in, and then you interact with them and you give them a very different image of what quote unquote leftist is, and then it starts clicking. They're also like just fucking chill. They have maybe a worldview that's a bit different than mine. They look chill, so maybe I want to learn more about this worldview because maybe I'm missing something because they look like fucking normal. And, light bulbs start going off to an extent, and you can contribute to a relative sense of, de-radicalization or whatever the fuck that means, but you know what I mean. And, that feels good too, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no, definitely. It's funny because sometimes people will try to attack me, liberals, because I come from a very conservative family background, at least on my parents and family has been radicalized to the left by me. So people will come to me and be like, "Oh, you used to be a conservative in 2003 or whatever." I'd be like, "Yeah, I was raised, in a military background in a very conservative family background, and through my conversations I've had with family and their life experiences of like getting into organized labor and things, I have helped push them towards a left-wing radicalization, or left-wing politics that they didn't previously have. I'm proud of that success.
You've grown. Mike, fuck you. You've grown as a person, and that is fucking disgusting. You should only hold the opinions that you've held when you were 17 for the rest of your life. And, your life has peaked ideologically when you're complaining about black people in video games. And you should continue like
I never did that
for the rest of your life. And then want to shoot communists because you can't have a girlfriend. That is how you're supposed to live. Not actually learn,
I think one of the things that's really interesting, and this is what I want to, what would you like to talk, like, what do you think about like the space, when you did a video on like the funnel, which I think is one of the most important videos to kind of understand political discussions, because I want to talk about tumors for a second, and get your thoughts on tumors, which is like, there are people that use the appearance of politics or talking about politics or interacting with politics as clickbait, as a way to get people into their community. And that's their only goal. And I think a lot of us who are more oriented toward politics as a real project to try to accomplish something in the real world, we can oftentimes get confused or subsumed into interacting with these people because they are making political sounding arguments. I'll give you an example of someone that I'm talking about, Ethan Klein. Right?
Yeah.
Ethan Klein is injecting himself into like the political debate on Israel-Palestine. And it's like, this guy doesn't actually care about politics or
He
even
makes
really
content you watch while you're taking a shit. And
exactly.
He wants to have hot takes on apartheid. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and he doesn't have like in the way he approaches politics is to use it in interpersonal squabbles, right?
Yeah.
He's mad that Hassan told him you can't be a left winger and support genocide. You can't be a left winger and support the apartheid. And if you have that take, left wing people are not going to like you. And so, Hassan communicated that to him very clearly and fairly, and honestly with kid gloves, right? Gently. And Ethan Klein thought, no, it's you poisoning your audience against me, as opposed to Hassan just saying, my audience is a political audience with beliefs and a perspective, and you can't do the thing that you're going to do. And he ended up, he went down and when they broke apart, Hassan did the ultimate move in revenge, which is he lived well and he succeeded in life.
Yeah. Do nothing, win. Yeah.
Like just go and say, okay, bye. And, Hassan's viewership went up and his viewership went down. And since that point, he's been fixated on him, and he's becoming fascist radicalized because of the interpersonal thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And like he's using these. And sorry for getting off on a monologue here, but
no, go on.
This is my understanding of people like him or Destiny, or is they're not really political. They're using politics, and when you approach them with like political arguments or with an attempt to understand their worldview, there's nothing there. It's just taking advantage of the clickbait of politics, of trying to be part of something that, quite frankly, they don't know anything about, they can't articulate, and they will never like successfully persuade anybody. And so you should just treat them like you would treat any other worthless troll. Make fun of them, laugh at their failure, and watch them fail.
I agree completely, or sometimes to an extent even ignore. Listen, like the whole funnel thing that I did, I was surprised that nobody had made it previously, because basically now we have social media, and obviously it's going to be utilized to a certain extent to push particular worldviews further. The right has fucking managed to utilize social media for the last fucking decade and a half, much better than we can ever imagine doing, unfortunately, even though we're trying to correct this course, some of us literally by doing this full time as a fucking job to an extent. But yeah, I was like, there's these let's call it agents that are thrown all over, and some of them do it more as an entertaining content, more as educational content. They're all on different levels of how open they are when it comes to preaching socialist politics, etc., etc. And the same way that back in the day, people would give out leaflets, people would post posters on the walls, people would do like small gatherings in taverns, etc.
Sell the zines.
Yeah, so absolutely, to introduce people to particular ideas. Now, as we're online, people are also doing it here. And I was like, okay, does this in any way equate to any sort of pragmatic contribution to the wider cause, if we want to call it that? And I genuinely do believe that there are a lot of people who do contribute to said cause by pushing people down. I'm an ex-marketing guy. Yeah, shoot me. I apologize. Through the so-called
that makes sense.
Funnel of education, right? But what do we think?
Wait 1 sec, but keep going.
Go, okay. But at one point, chat, I was like, okay, but where in that funnel do we define people that not only want you to move further down, do their best to keep you on their particular point in the funnel? I asked two questions. Why would they want to keep you in their particular level of the so-called radicalization funnel? By radicalization, I just mean like knowing more about what's fucked up in the current system and learning more about how you can potentially change it, right? Why would they not want you to learn further and maybe even grow out of the level of coverage that they're introducing? Why? Because of the good old fucking profit motive. That's why. Because you staying in their communities forever means they keep making more money. So if I introduce you to, classic Sotsdem arguments, that's absolutely fine. That's great. That's fucking, pragmatic, progressive thinking. But then if you also come into chat or the comment section, or you interact with me and you say, yo, thank you for introducing me to this sort of thought, but now I'm learning more about this or that theoretician, or I'm joining organizations that are like, let's say, a bit more radical, again, to use that term, even though it's got a relative negative context for some people, than the classic progressive Dems, right? Why do they then react by calling you, fucking unhinged, somebody who is like a quasi-fascist, etc., because they don't want you to leave, because they don't want you to outgrow their particular coverage, because they want to keep making money. And that's why I term them as quote-unquote tumors, which to an extent is not correct, because they're not even a part of the funnel. Some of these people have accidentally, and others have intentionally, kind of like Ethan Klein is an example of intentionally trying to enter the larger space of progressive, left-leaning, or very, very left-wing politics, etc., and cut out their little segments so that they can milk them for money, which was born out of this very intense disagreement about, I don't know, not wanting to openly say that mass murdering kids is a bad thing, right? So those guys, full-on shills, completely do it. Others come in with relatively good intention. They want to educate. They want to talk about these particular topics, etc., but they see the fucking dollar signs rolling, and they understand that if you learn more, you are either going to leave their community, or more importantly, that there's also a shit ton of money to be made by basically doing crazy levels of fucking infighting. So instead of calling out fucking shots, etc., you start punching down and you start punching up in the funnel. So here I'm not just criticizing, because it goes both ways. I'm not just criticizing the baby leftist creators that are constantly like, oh, these fucking guys are crazy talking about fucking LARPing revolutions or whatever up there, the pieces of shit, which is more common. I'm also talking about the guys up there fucking shooting down and not understanding that somebody also needs to introduce people to this wider worldview, right? To this way of thinking, to this science, to this whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? So basically, the main thesis of the fucking funnel that I made is that's how it also works when it comes to pitching a more expensive product in marketing. Is you develop your own funnel, you introduce them to more advanced, let's call it, knowledge about said ideology in our case, and you don't punch up or punch down. And in the video I use, for example, Hassan is a very decent example. Motherfucker doesn't put anybody in his mouth that does quote-unquote more radical content further up the funnel. He doesn't shit talk baby leftists either. Take your funnel, work your funnel, educate people. Don't fuck with those that make more approachable, like easier to approach content below you. Don't fuck with the guys above you. And that is how a proper
it's just called solidarity, right? And,
yeah, it's
working toward,
and that's what makes it agitation. Right. Because eventually it leads people to organizing, to doing things IRL, right? When there's no pragmatic result from this, then it's not agitation, then it's fucking content, then we're just fucking exclusively entertaining. Again, nothing wrong with that, but if you actually want to quote-unquote contribute, you add a little bit of that.
Do you know what's very funny?
Right?
You want to hear
Yes,
you want to hear a story? So I was talking to some of the leaders of various socialist movements in America, and they said to me, like, I said, "Oh, I'm Mike from PA," and they're like, "Wait, you're Mike from PA?" That was an inside joke, because so many people, when we would ask them, where are you from? Like, what brought you to join the movement? They would say Mike from PA. We thought it was like just like it was a mythical thing, like Kilroy or something. Like, you're real? Because we have pushed so many people. Like, I am literally one, and I don't say this to pat myself on the back, but I say this as like, this is why this stuff's important, why you're important, why Hassan's important. I'm one of the top recruiters for the socialist movement, which is very funny because I'm not that big. I focus intensely on getting people active.
Modesty is a fucking poison. No,
yeah. I mean, I'm modest to an extent. I try not to be egomaniacal. And speaking of, I was just in the Communist Party headquarters in Austria, and I grabbed off of them a zine because it looked really interesting to me. And this is what we used to do, chat. This used to be it. Like, you would make little magazines. This is China's turbo socialismus, 75 Yara Volksrepublic. Wow. And this is what we used to do. So now we have the opportunity to create this content and reach people where they are and create this socialist movement. And it's so much more effective as far as time from the agitator's point of view for getting in contact with more people. And
there's only one way for you not to do it right. It's by being a tumor. That's why it's important to mention.
Well, and like, yeah. And the other thing is, like, there's certain things that people sometimes talk about purity testing as an idea, and like, it's bad to purity test, right? And I agree with that in a certain sense, except there are certain things that are like, you are a liberal or you're a leftist, and that distinction does matter. We can't just become gruel and indistinct and have no program and just desperate to get as many people into our side as possible. We have to have a certain level of give and take. There has to be a certain level of political education, political alignment, political content. And when people use the term purity testing, that is a thought terminating cliche, or they can't debate on the merits, right? They're saying you're purity testing because I'm saying, for example, being pro NATO makes you not part of our movement, right? And for the status quo in America or in Europe, being pro NATO is what the establishment is, and NATO is set up as a defense project to kill the left worldwide. So if you're a pro NATO leftist, it's like being a pro slaughterhouse cow. Like, you're just not understanding the way that system is set up. So anything that is undermining and disrupting NATO is positive for us. And if you don't understand that, then you're probably not, a left-winger in a real substantial way, and you're still just a liberal. And you can't divide, quote, foreign policy from, quote, domestic policy. They go hand in hand. And these are like very basic things that we need to get over before you can really be a politically active left-winger. Because if you're going out there and being like, yeah, America shouldn't, support the genocide in Gaza, and yeah, America shouldn't, fight a war against China in Taiwan, and yeah, America should be, pouring troops into Ukraine. That's insane. You are doing an insane thing that is in opposition to your own survival. Because, go ahead. If you disagree with what I'm saying, please.
I agree completely. That's to an extent why we call it a funnel. There is a certain entry point, and the entry point is the very basics of what defines a to sound like a fucking nerd, the dialectical materialist view. The entry point is defined by not holding particular viewpoints or agitating for particular viewpoints that are completely 1000% antithetical to even the most basic propositions that socialist thinking is supposed to represent. So yeah, there's when I talk about infighting in the funnel, I'm talking about infighting in the funnel, not
not our political enemies and opponents.
Saying that somebody's not in the funnel at all. What?
Like, and we should be, I'm comfortable declaring some people to be enemies. This is another thing that I think maybe separates me from a lot of other content creators. Like, if somebody is in favor of propositions that will result in my death, right? They're not a person that is a persuadable target. They are an enemy to be overcome. I'm not trying to be like, so extreme with my rhetoric. Just I'm talking about being practical, right?
Of course.
An example of that is like, when people ask me like, why is NATO bad, right? Well, NATO was doing assassinations and coups in Italy called the Gladio. It's the Operation Gladio or whatever. They supported fascists in Greece. They did a coup in Australia. This is not just like, quote, third world countries, which we have all heard a million times. We had a left-wing Swedish prime minister who was assassinated, and they never figured out who did it. He was a Swedish prime minister who was opposed to the U.S. war in Vietnam and was giving aid and assistance to North Vietnam against South Vietnam, right, and against the United States. And he was just assassinated one day. Another Australian prime minister just drowned You know, he just went out for a swim and drowned. Like, these are kind of, and this is, and then as far as if you're talking about regular leftists, we supported genocides of leftists in Indonesia. They supported genocides of leftists in Taiwan. They supported genocides of leftists in South Korea. They supported, mass disappearances in Argentina, in Brazil, in Chile. The CIA basically controlled Japanese politics for a long time when it was a single party state. They assassinated the leader of the Japanese Socialist Party after World War II. Like, all this stuff, like, this is not just foreign countries. This is our countries, our nations, our lives. So if you're a pro NATO leftist, you are supporting the people that are trying to kill you, literally. And you are not understanding that, the threat of Chinese invasion of Taiwan is not a real threat to you, whereas these organizations like what that are run by Trump or whatever are a threat to you. And you need to like adjust yourself to a reality of, if you do really have an anti-capitalist politic, you need to focus on developing international solidarity. Is there anything I said that you disagree with?
Zero. No.
And so that's kind of,
and I have nothing to add. Like, I unironically have nothing to add. Yeah. It's certain points one cannot get over and shouldn't.
Yeah. And it's like, it shouldn't surprise you that the same people that supported the war in Iraq are the biggest boosters of the kind of foreign policy that we're seeing today, and why it's so important that we as a movement kind of like don't allow this kind of like stuff to be siloed off as if it's different from what's happening to us. And people and the American people are a peace loving people. They don't want these wars, right? They don't want to have a war with Iran. They don't want to support the genocide in Gaza. They don't want a war in Iraq. That's just not the case. And we have these systems that are being imposed upon us from an elite international capitalist class. And we need to be underlining that every single day. And we shouldn't allow, Kamala Harris, when she went up there and said, I want to have the most lethal military, I said, I'm out. That we can't vote for that. Yeah. You can't support that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, she's doing a genocide and she comes up there and says, and she refuses to let a Palestinian American speak. That's Palestinian American. But because she's Palestinian, she's not allowed to speak. That is a racial domination in our own country. It's not just foreign policy. It is, you're Palestinian, you don't have rights.
And then somebody comes to you and tells you that you're actually fighting the progressive cause by very adequately criticizing somebody who's passing the reddest of fucking red lines, which is, hey, maybe you should not firmly, not even like casual, but firmly stand in support of an act of genocide. Like, it's a fucking non-argument, quite literally. What kind of conversation are you supposed to have with somebody that is willing to get over to like ignore the mass suffering of hundreds of thousands of people in order to push another 4 years of basically the same fucking shit. That's why they're, again, to go back, that's why they've never even been a part of the funnel, or if they represent themselves as part of the funnel, they are directly arguing against somebody moving further down, because they are actively trying to encourage you to think less as a socialist and more as a, let's say, placated fucking status quo
campus
lover.
lib.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that makes me that brings me to a question that I'm curious about what your take is. How is Europe absorbing the Trump presidency? Is it creating an opportunity for like left-wing politics, or is it, the final capitulation of centrism to fascism, or is it a mixed bag?
Dude, I think it's creating potential, because the status quo in the European Union for the last fucking 80 years pretty much has been seeing their link, pretty much their sorry for the sexual terminology again, but basically the America's eternal cuck, to sound like a fucking edgy zoomer and to sound like a edgy fucking communist.
It's not even edgy. I mean, it's just it's factual. Yeah. They're in the chair. It's and we're having it with their wife.
And I like a soft imperial colony of the United States as well. Like European Union bureaucratics, or even like people in what one could define as power. I don't think they even had the capacity up until recently to differentiate between the interests of European states and the interests of the United States. Even bringing this up as a point made you look fucking insane, because America is Europe and Europe is America.
Right.
And
The Atlantic unity. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like an organization that really contributes to that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called exactly. I don't know. I'm not that learned of a man.
It's the part of the ocean you don't want to swim in ever.
Yeah. and it was exactly, and it was such a one-way alliance. By alliance, I don't mean alliance like, you know, like a fucking master and a dog.
It was a protectorate.
Yeah, pretty much, to an extent. But I could counter argue this: like, was it really a protectorate, or or did European states constantly go against their own interests by continuing to be?
Look what's happened since. Let's look what happened since the European financial crisis. European economies have not grown for 15 years.
Oh, dude, it's
I mean, like, and they're still doing the same policies. It's like 15 years of austerity. You haven't grown.
It's like because
like, how is that? Even under capitalism, you guys are just failing and you're not reacting.
It's insane. And like even like these apparatchiks that I'm talking about are to an extent fucking noticing this because of my particular education. Whatever university that I went to doesn't matter. I have a shit ton of friends that right now like literally work for the EU. Some have already grown to like positions of quote unquote power, etc., and they very openly say, I know it's a fucking meme, but it's a meme inside of the core of European Union politics, at least, you know, in Brussels. The meme of, you know, the Americans are making they're making AI and nukes, and the Chinese are making AI processing and 450-kilometer-an-hour trains. And we are debating for months on end on whether we should keep the fucking plastic cups on top of bottles, easy to take off or not.
Yeah, the plastic tops.
Right?
Yeah.
They have been relegated to the dustbin of history by the United States, specifically to just do their own little thing over there, create future soldiers to potentially die on fronts, and not ask any fucking questions. Of course, I'm not running defense here for the European Union.
Okay, I'm gonna say something spicy.
The fuck. Just say.
Basically, you are kind of exterminating yourselves because, like,
they are. Yeah.
Because, like, you know, sometimes alt-right people will talk about like reproductive rates, and you know, like, oh, you know, we're not having babies, and that's bad. And a lot of liberals and center, you know, left liberals are kind of like, yeah, I can't believe you're such a racist. You're caring about the population reproducing itself, and it's like, no, that's actually a totally legitimate point. And people are not choosing not to have children. People are economically prevented from having children. Like, they just cannot afford it, or they don't, or their lives are not stable enough, or they're not happy enough, or they're not able to find a partner. These are all very legitimate complaints. It is a legitimate complaint that you can't afford to have a kid. It's a legitimate point that you can't find a partner. That is, and we know that there's been changes in society that have created these conditions, and it's totally legitimate to talk about them. Now, the right-wing strategies are all insane, and they're all racist and bullshit.
But even on a state level, for example, in the European Union, openly stating that it's very bad for foreign powers to impede on our sovereignty, both through financial and political manipulation, blah, blah, blah. Usually, you know, Russian Federation is bad. And okay, let's all agree. Great, bad. But the United States doing the absolute same thing for the last fucking 8 decades, even to an extent, because they literally can afford to do worse, in the European Union is simply shrugged under the table because there are allies. Why? Simply because they are. So what I'm trying to get across here basically is this interconnectedness between the bull and the cuck has been so eternal that sex quite literally has become only cuckoldry. Like classic fucking missionary fucking has been completely forgotten in the European Union. The only thing we know how to do in Europe is wait for Daddy America to tell us who to fight next, or how to sabotage
jerking
our own
off with your own shit.
To,
I mean, like, that's literally
all the time.
Yeah, like,
and
it
was impossible. Sorry, it was unimaginable for anybody to imagine see a world in which this cuck who has naturalized, let's say, cucking as a sexual act to themselves to realize, holy shit, this is actually not normal classic sex. What the fuck? Like, it was completely unimaginable for the European Union, especially the fucking people high up in all of these European states, to even think, let alone say out loud, yo, bro, maybe our relationship to the States isn't as both ways as we thought it was. Like, completely unimaginable. And here comes the motherfucking new U.S. administration that doesn't just want to do fucking cuckoldry. It wants to fuck your wife and make you pay for it, right?
Right, exactly.
Horrible allegory, a little bit misogynistic. I apologize to Chad, but you get my fucking point.
Well,
right?
the thing that I would say is,
and then now they're realizing. Well,
they are they though?
And that can be utilized
because it's like the realization. Okay, so I did before I was like an internet commentator in my legal career. I was going towards securities arbitration, which in America we have this thing called FINRA, which is a regulatory body that you could sue your broker for like basically scamming you. Let's just put it that way. Like if you have an investment advisor or broker and they put you in like, you know, a bunch of scam investments, you have a place where you can go
that must be nice.
Yeah, you can take an arbitrator. You go to an arbitrator, you know, and try to get like money from them, right? And so I was like doing plaintiff side work on that, which is like helping little old ladies get their retirement back, you know, or whatever. This is before my full leftist turn. And one of the things that's like really interesting about that entire world is that we just have a system of complete and utter worthless, parasitic, like that's the outcome. The outcome is just extraction and there isn't anything that isn't a scam. It's a scam economy from the top to bottom. And this is exactly how the United States operates with the Europe. Is you're just being extracted from, exploited, and held in a position of like self-annihilation. And one of the ways
that is such a strong, I will have to cut you. That is such a strong rhetorical argument, right? It's so fucking strong, but you couldn't use it literally up until 3 weeks ago.
Well, let me give you an example.
Because they didn't say it out loud.
I'm going to say something that's going to piss off the chat because I like to do this. Like I'll get like an example of the kind of memes and mind viruses that have been inculcated into leftists is the idea of like, I want to have a kid, but I'm not going to because the planet is going to die. And like, that is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, which is like, absolutely no. First of all, you're accepting defeat with that entire premise. You've accepted that we're going to be defeated. Even if you calculate that we're probably going to lose. The fact that you've now decided to not do something that you yearn for and you want to do and is natural, which is like having your own kid because of this idea, it is you are accepting your own powerlessness. You are accepting defeat. You are accepting the premises that human beings are actually valueless. Like, I don't want to have a kid because my kid is going to cause more damage. That is a anti-human belief and an anti-left-wing belief. It's this kind of neoliberal greenism that has been pushed into our brains, and it is a liberal idea that hates humanity. And socialism is not misanthropic. Socialism is not pessimistic.
It's the craziest fucking concession that you can give to this very same system that you hate so much. Like,
exactly.
You're like, okay,
I
like
hate that
capitalism
shit so much.
causes X, Y, Z, etc., etc. I can live with this, live with that, blah, blah, blah. We all make some sort of fucking concession because it's impossible. But you two do the ultimate fucking concession of, if you want to have kids, of course. I am actively not going to do it because of how fucked up the system is the pinnacle
you should have
of
a kid, raise
flag,
a fucking revolutionary. Like, what are you doing? You know, like, no, if you think the system is so fucked and it needs to be overturned, that is a ultimate statement of love for humanity, because you see what's going on around you, seeing what's going on around you, and you want to overturn it. That is what I want to fight for. If you don't want kids, I'm not here to shame you. I'm not saying that not wanting kids is bad or anything. If you don't want to have kids, don't fucking have kids. In fact, don't have kids because you'd be a terrible parent. But if you want kids, don't allow some fucking mind virus bullshit saying like, oh, the planet's going to be cooked, stop you from doing it. And if you're a person who's saying, Mike, I want kids, but economically I can't have them, that should piss you off that should radicalize you so much more, because you're being denied your basic animalistic right to reproduce. Like, you are being denied what thousands of generations before you were able to do in our system. That is anti-human in its essence, and that's what capitalism is. Capitalism is anti-human in its essence. It's about this dead labor capital being improved upon, not the human beings that actually experience life, but rather the idea of some financial fiction, of some line going up, some sort of hyper rich person going from 330 billion to 360 billion, which will make no difference in their life whatsoever. They will get no extra utility. They will get no more, nothing will change about any of their lived experience. But what will happen is millions of other people will be worse off, and they will suffer. If you support that system, you are anti-human.
To me, it's insane that like a lot of people, for example, will have quote unquote enough class consciousness to understand that it's absolutely insane to pass down on the consumer the sins of the system, and they will literally be able to comprehend the idea that it's fucking crazy that, you know, you have to drink from paper straws while these guys fucking fly all over the globe every day in their fucking jets.
We are not poor.
Also turn around and say, you know, I'm gonna understand that it's lived up bullshit to believe that the world is gonna be saved by paper straws, but the one thing that I will, even though it's not a consumer, but you get my point, the one thing that I will basically listen to capitalist dogma on is not having kids. Like, you're adequately pointing out that paper straws are fucking an insane capitalist propaganda, but you don't want to do it when it comes to having children. It's what the fuck?
Well, and
it's weak as shit, bro.
Well, like, you know, it is you know, this is where, like, you know, sometimes people think that stuff I'm saying here is like rhyming with conservative arguments, but it's not. It's the complete opposite, you know, and
what kind of
people get confused because
it's not
because it is conservative, you know, dogma to be like, oh, we need, you know, you get Elon Musk saying you need to reproduce, blah 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 blah, but he doesn't actually want you to reproduce, right? Like, he doesn't care about any of that. I want you to be able to live the life that gives you the maximum happiness and the maximum self-expression, and that includes the right to have a kid if you want to have a kid, you know, and we should be pro-natalist in the sense, not like the weird, creepy, freaking libertarian right-wingers who are eugenicists, but in the sense of, like, that is
and they want to fuck their own kids as well.
Yeah, that's a basic human right. And if you don't have that as a system where, like, everybody who has every child gets the best possible, you know, support so that they can maximize their potential, then you're living in an anti-human society. And we live in an anti-human society, and all of us should say that. All of us should say that. And that should be our focus, on building something that isn't anti-human, you know? And
like this anti-human system wants to take every single inch of your existence away from you, commodify it, and turn it into just another thing that you interact with as a mode of commercial exchange. And if you understand this, and yet you capitulate on potentially, of course, if you want to, of course, on potentially experiencing one of the world's greatest fucking joys of having a child. I don't have one yet. I hope to have one day. You are counter arguing yourself, right? You're not only missing the point, but you are to an extent agreeing with the very same fucking blurred out shitpost propaganda that they're throwing at you in the first place. It's like, I understand, like, I don't understand, but it's easier for me to understand other types of capitulation. But on the topic of procreation, it's like you're basically capitulating on one of the most human fucking aspects of life that has ironically not been denied to us up until late stage 21st century capitalism. Imagine even the most degenerate fucking feudal or slave societies bringing forward such an argument. They wouldn't. And yet capitalism's power lies exactly to an extent in this, amongst other things, of course. It's to take problems that it creates and put it on our shoulders and feel like we as individuals can slow down society's general degradation based on how we as individuals act.
This reminds me of like one of my favorite parts of the Communist Manifesto.
It's cringe to buy like fucking vegan leather or whatever, you do your fucking thing, but it's it's a billion times less fucking cringe than being like, I'm not gonna have kids because capitalism, bro.
No, that's what. Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say, like, this brings me to like my most favorite part of the Communist Manifesto, which kind of explains what I'm talking about, which is, I've heard it described as like acid, the acid of, he says, all that is solid. The bourgeoisie cannot exist without constantly revolutionizing their instruments of production and thereby the relations of production, and with them the whole relations of society. Conservation of the old modes of production in unaltered form was, to the contrary, the first condition of existence for all earlier industrial classes. Constant revolutionizing of production, uninterrupted disturbance of all social conditions, everlasting uncertainty and agitation distinguish the bourgeois epoch from all earlier ones. The fixed, fast-frozen relations with their train of ancient and venerable prejudices and opinions are swept away. The all-new-formed ones become antiquated before they can ossify. All that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profaned. And man is at last compelled to face with sober senses his real conditions of life and the relations with his kind. The need of a constantly expanding market for its products chases the bourgeoisie over the entire surface of the globe. It must nestle everywhere, settle everywhere, establish connections everywhere. And this is you know, all that is solid. I mean, this is 1848, chat, and it perfectly explains what is going on now. And like, if you go for a little earlier, he talks about how the bourgeoisie have stripped of its halo every occupation hitherto honored and looked upon with reverent awe.
Oh, one of my favorite quotes. Yeah, sorry.
It has converted the physician, the lawyer, the priest, the poet, the man of science into paid wage laborers.
Yeah.
The bourgeoisie has torn away from the family its sentimental veil and reduced the family relation to a mere money relation. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about, is that everything that we used to believe, everything that we used to value is being destroyed. And don't let these that is anti-human in its very fundamental essence, because we are creatures of the earth, and capitalism, you know, you're in the way. You're in the way of the algorithm of profit. And we have to stop them before they kill us all. And that's what capitalism's logic is. Capitalism's logic is extermination of the human race, or we have to get past it. And that's it.
Absolutely.
It is an algorithm that has gone rogue. People talk about rogue AI. We already have it. It's called capitalism.
Yeah, the fucking market, baby. What the? You don't need a fucking supercomputer like pre-planning shit for the next 700 years and moving us around as you know, digits on the server board. It's already happening. It's called the fucking economy. It's called the fucking free market, and it needs to eternally grow. And in its attempt to grow from 0 to 1 million, and then from 1 million to 1 billion, has unironically not only commodified even the very laborers, but even to an extent those who profit most out of it. Because there is only one entity that is above even the wealthiest billionaire or most powerful politician, and that is the system itself. We fear some sort of you know, we watch sci-fi movies and we fear, you know, this mega computer that was created by humans, but eventually gets out of human control and ends up being the main power that drives all of society. And yet we live in that very same premise. It's just not as bombastic. It's just called the market.
One of my chatters figured out
out
what I was getting at, because today is actually the anniversary of the first publication of the Communist Manifesto. And
really, what the fuck? I didn't know that. Sick shit, bro.
And I want to read you another section real quick, chat, just so you understand.
Dude, just before you go ahead.
Sorry
but
for
in
interrupting.
100 years, they're not gonna talk about the anniversary of the publication of the Communist Manifesto. You know why? they'll refer to Hugo and Mike streaming together for the first time. That's
there you go. There you have it. That's
all of future attempts at revolution will flourish from this particular interaction. Don't you know this? The world actually revolves around us. And you, chat, they will ask you, where were you?
And you'll be like, I got a tier 3 sub that day.
2025, and you will say, I was there posting bonk emojis.
That's right.
Bonk emojis in chat. Let's go.
and this is what I'm talking about. The reason why I brought up this topic, because it's a passion of mine, but it's something. This is what socialists were saying in 1848. Think about today. The bourgeoisie, wherever it has the upper hand, has put an end to all feudal, patriarchal, idyllic relations. It has pitilessly torn asunder the motley feudal ties that bound man to his national superiors, and left remaining no other nexus between man and man than naked self-interest and callous cash payment. It has drowned the most heavenly ecstasies of religious fervor, of chivalrous enthusiasm, of Philistine sentimentalism, in the icy water of egotistical calculation. It has resolved personal worth into exchange value, and in place of the numberless, indefeasible chartered freedoms, it has set up a single unconscionable freedom: free trade. In other words, for exploitation veiled by religious and political illusions, it has substituted naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation. And that is what we have to fight against. We absolutely need to say, I'm not to return like the reactionary would to an invented past of, neo-monarchism or whatever, but bravely plunge forward to the future where we can say with reason, all the former organizations of our society were wrong. Setting up a minority of exploiters to exploit the majority of the exploited is wrong, and we're going to evolve beyond what we have previously known. That is what socialism is about in a fundamental way. It is the most pro-human, pro-ecological possible future. If you care about the environment, you have to destroy capitalism. If you care about humanity, if you care about art, if you care about anything, you have to destroy capitalism. All right. Sorry for getting off on a soapbox.
No, that was beautiful. That's what
we need. That's why I invited you on, because it was the anniversary of the Communist Manifesto, and I thought it was funny to bring you on today, because we were originally going to be on Wednesday, chat, and I was like, nah, we'll do Friday, and it's been fun.
Same. We should do it more often. We should set it up as a repeating thing.
All right, so I got like 20 more minutes, so yeah? I want to hand the ball off to you. What are you working on, or what do you want to talk about right now? Like, what do you want to point people to, even if it's just making money for yourself? Go ahead.
No, I have a pretty large video actually in the works that's going to come out. Yeah, going to come out on the channel in like
spoiler
12 days, 13 days. It's a little bit over the top.
What is it?
In my opinion. I'll just say Terra Unitas. My chat fucking knows about it. I kind of because it really connects to what you were just saying.
One world government, baby.
Yeah. About building like being able to imagine a future that now feels unimaginable.
This is the final struggle.
And by seeing it as a goal towards which all of us as fellow Homo sapiens can strive to, by seeing that as our target, that can inspire us to get over
returning to our roots in the first international.
whatever insurmountable fucking problem that we might be seeing nowadays, which is very much so not insurmountable. Because very often, like when we're criticizing modern capitalism, we're criticizing modern capitalism, the current state of things, and usually the world that we can imagine is simply the next step afterwards. But the reason why I made like a very, very, very far-reaching video, at least my idea when it comes to agitation on why I made it, is because imagining something so far off potentially, and something that can something so far off gives us a bigger picture on why our current problems are maybe not as insurmountable and as large as they might seem, etc., etc. But that's on the video.
I'm excited. I'm
People
excited
will
for that.
hate on it. People will whatever.
That's
you can watch.
It's funny that you said you're making this video, because that's the energy that I've been having. I've been playing. There is this rock version of the Internationale that the People's Republican Army put out. I don't know if you saw this.
No.
They put it out like 4 years ago for the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party, and I've been playing it on like when I start my stream, because it's a banger. And
I'll check it out.
And they talk about, it's just the international, but it's like, it's in Chinese, but one of the refrains of the Internationale is that this is the final struggle, and that we are going to unite, and that racism is bullshit, that there aren't gods, there isn't emperors, no one's that we can rely on. Like, we have to build it. The laboring masses, regular people, we need to seize this opportunity and unite together across the, these made up borders. It's kind of crazy. Like, one of the things that I think learning about history is so important is just the idea of borders themselves are an incredibly recent idea.
Yeah.
Like, there were borders, but they weren't really enforced until the 30s, like in the 20s and 30s.
Serfdoms, etc., etc.
Like, people would just go to a different country. You know what I mean? There wasn't passports. Like, it is like crazy that we've created these lines on the map, and then we've used the like intellect of the modern era to try to create these like fenced in fiefdoms, basically. And whereas humanity was almost always free to like flow in different places, and they did throughout history. And it's crazy what we live in, and this is like in these fictions that people think are so like permanent and indelible,
and
are recently
they are
invented.
so incredibly recent. Yeah, so incredibly recent.
Like, the concept of being French is an invented idea that's very recent.
Absolutely. It's hilarious when, for example, people throw arguments at, my part of the world, or chatters that don't know I'm from the Balkans or whatever the fuck, that, Yugoslavia was doomed to fail because it attempted to unify different people in one country, and that makes absolutely no sense. Motherfucker, what do you think Italy is? Fucking 120 city-states? You think Germany as a country is older than the United States? Think the fuck again, okay? You know how fucking recent France is? This thing that you have in your mind as having existed for fucking thousands of years? No, bro. There are very relatively similar people that existed in their own kind of they differentiate, etc., societies that through time understood that the benefits of individual sovereignty do not outweigh the potential benefits of unification, and this is a historical process that will continue to unite us. Even the idea of nationalism, which is now unfortunately very much so bastardized, except in countries that are utilizing it to fight colonialization, etc., was utilized as a tool, as an idea that once the king is removed, once the aristocratic kind of creme de la creme is removed, that govern us and that define this is who we are inside of these relative broader borders, a very easy question was posed. Okay, then what basis do we unify on? And the answer, to an extent, including other like economic models, etc., pretty much was what? Similar people in a similar place constitute a nation, I guess, and this is now going to be a country. And this is what we've been living with up until now. So it was used to an extent as a progressive tool to bring people together, but now, unfortunately, same like all cycles in history, it no longer serves the role that it was intentionally created for, and it is dividing us instead of uniting us. And in the video I talk about it more. I personally believe that unless we continue down this path of capitalistic self-sabotage, it would be a natural further development of human organization, aka greater pan unions and greater pan unions, etc., which of course does not mean that your culture will die or your way of life will die or that your particular faith in this or that deity, etc., needs to disappear. The same way you can be proud of being from Berlin, but also identify with wider Germany, you will be able to identify with your specific culture, but also with the wider union that you find yourselves in.
It's expanding the empathetic circle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why is this like insane utopian thinking?
It's
not
not.
supposed to
Well,
be.
it's I
The
mean,
contrary
nations.
is insane. The contrary is insane. The fucking people who harp on self-determination so fucking radically, and yet they don't understand the extent. If you take it to its final conclusion, like the argument that I don't fucking know. For example, why the fuck should I'll use Germany for some fucking reason as an example. Why the fuck should, the Germans and French create a new wider union and exist in it when Germany's pretty much going to feed France a lot more than France is going to feed Germany? But motherfucker, probably Berlin contributes far more to the wider fucking German economy than any other fucking, I'm using random examples, than any other city in Germany. Does that mean that Germany should now declare independence? Okay, let's go on with that fucking logic. There are particular neighborhoods in Berlin that probably contribute a lot more to the Berlin economy than other neighborhoods.
Well,
Should they also file for fucking self-determination? At the end of the day, if you follow through to the logic of fucking separation, we should all make our own individual little flags, put it on top of our houses, make it an independent country, and shoot at each other. That's the fucking logic of a fucking child, man.
Yeah, I
And
mean, like,
yet it
look
is the
at Europe
standardized
itself.
way of thinking.
Like look at Switzerland. I mean, Switzerland has 3 nationalities within it: an Italian, a French, and a German. And it survived the 20th century. I don't think anybody would say Switzerland has, a multicultural catastrophe of Switzerland. Most people would say, like, it's one of the most beautiful countries in the world. It's fucking expensive as hell, but and it's a capitalist hellhole in some ways. But the idea that these people speak different languages or they have different traditions, that
the
means
separation
that
of people based on cultural ethnicity or whatever is the natural state of things. It is the fucking opposite.
Yeah, that's a
one of the
newly
reasons
invented idea.
you have fucking tacos in fucking South America is because some fucking Arabs went to live there and they wanted to make a fucking doner without the shit that they had back in fucking Lebanon, and all of a sudden we have one of the tastiest fucking things on the planet. Latin Americans are about to fucking shoot me.
Oh, the pastor, chicken pastor? Is that what you're talking about? Chicken pastor?
I don't know. I watched a fucking documentary where like they trace the actual.
Yeah, chicken pastor is the best chicken dish. This is my white opinion. But al pastor, thank you. Exactly, chicken al pastor. And I think no, of course. I mean, that's one of the best. The thing that I find interesting.
Nazis going on white supremacist parades and going.
White doesn't make any sense.
And then
what is white?
Pizza or doner afterwards.
What is white?
I know,
motherfuckers.
But you get my fucking point. They want to remove themselves from internationalism, yet they cannot.
Whiteness is international.
Internationalism is the core on which all of
whiteness is international. Like the concept of white is international.
That's you guys, you Americans, this fucking weird fucking thing. I was always super fucking weird.
Well, what I mean, but
especially us as fucking Slavs. Like, where the fuck do we fit in? Obviously, I'm a pasty ass fucking white boy. I'm not fucking denying that shit. But the very people who define white looked at Slavs and were like, nah, that's not one of ours.
Look
and then you go to the States and like, what?
Her eyes are too blue and she's too blonde. Not white. Well, no, of course. I mean, yes, it's nonsensical. Of course it's nonsensical. That's what's very funny. Like, I think that's why studying like the Nazis is very important for people to do, assuming you're not dumb as fuck, because you'll find that like their concept of Aryanness, which is related to the concept of whiteness, changed based on the political expedience of what the Nazi party needed. Right, like
exactly. Like they even had infighting. They had infighting because they, oh god, they're like, well, this. If I'm an expert on fucking anything, it's fucking Nazi race science. The amount of shit I had to fucking read in order to make one of the fucking mini documentaries. There was a point, obviously before World War II, where there was genuine like Nazi infighting on whether what they defined as Nordics right?
Versus Alpine
the
or whatever.
closest, yeah. Will they create Nordics if they fucking have a kid? And they were very, very radical, like Germanismus, like just German, hardcore Nordic motherfuckers. They were like, no. Sure, we can be allies with the fucking Italians or the French for a second, but we ain't fucking around. Also,
yeah, you can't fuck a French girl. That would make a non-Aryan.
That is always a very bad idea. But they were even thinking, like, even inside of Germany, we have a lot of non-Nordics.
Of course.
Like, the dark-haired motherfuckers. And those
like
need
me.
to go together with the Jews, the Roma, the Slavs, etc., etc. And obviously more pragmatic Nazis were like, bruv, like, we can't form a movement if we gotta shoot everyone. Even though long term, I like to joke about this with chat, long term, if you take the division fascist, at least like on the basis of ethnicity fucking play through, and you kill that other ethnicity, and then you homogenize, then you need to find another enemy. Eventually, like, the end goal of Nazism, like 1,000 years down, is obviously who's going to be the out group once you kill all other ethnicities. Women, right? And then you have to kill all women. Therefore, Nazism is gay fascism, because you will be left only with men, and they will.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're
and have sex.
Like, I get the meme and the joke is funny, but I think there's also something to it, right? Like,
but there is, unironically, what is the last enemy, the last other that you will have to exterminate? It's going to be gender based.
Well, women would always be like, ew, like they're not strong, they can't fight, they're subservient. They're kind of parasitical in a certain sense,
How do you explain to yourself, like, women that actively participate in Nazi movements and shit nowadays?
I think there's a lot of psychosexual stuff. Like, there is a strong impulse in humanity to not want to have to think, because thinking is energetically expensive. You know what I mean? Like, when you're sitting there and you're like thinking about a problem.
That's why streaming is the hardest job in the world. You got to think for
exactly like when you're thinking about a problem. Like when I'm doing this, like like I'm burning more calories than when I'm just vegetating and just like watching somebody else do something, or I'm just like it is that's actually physically true. So there is like exertion that goes on when you have to think and when you have to reason. Right. So I think there is an impulse for people. It's just like a really intellectual laziness is a thing. Like, where it's like, I just don't want to think.
And that's
I just want daddy to tell me what to do.
Lives on. Yeah.
I want daddy to tell me what to do. I want somebody else to do the work of thinking, and that is what I think a lot of people are actually eager to do. They want to be told, they want to feel,
especially when it's an easy explanation, when it's a borderline fucking D&D that I call Nazis IRL D&D fucking game masters, but with murder involved. They literally create a insane fictitious world. There were ancient Aryans and their society was destroyed because they interacted with the barbarian peoples, and by intermixing slowly the society degraded. But many thousands of years later, there is one people that mixed the least, and they are the closest to what an ethnically pure Aryan was. And of course, that's us, not the other guys.
Exactly, it's always us. Yeah,
it's us. We are called the Nordics, and we might be able to breed with not as fucked up other races that are close to us, that kind of look like us, but not those more to the east, because too much Jewish influence and too much intermixing with the Asiatic hordes. And this is your worldview. Like, this is your unironic worldview. It's fucking orcs versus elves, but you want to live it. And it's such an easy pitch, and that's why a lot of people that, as you beautifully put, don't want to think. Like, fuck yeah, bro, I'm a fucking Aryan, bro.
Living vicariously as well.
It's so hard, bro. It's so good, dude.
Yeah, living vicariously. It's like, I was talking about this the other day, which is like, we want to be part of a group, and we want to be able to feel superior, but we don't want to do the work. And I think that's part of it. Like, I get it. Like, doing work is evolutionarily disfavored. Like, being lazy is an evolutionary adaptation, which is like, if you have resources, if you've got food and you have water,
material conditions, like literally, yeah.
Like if you just chill, you burn less, and if being like having that lazy gear is probably advantageous selectively in the future, so that like when you are in those conditions, you're not needlessly engaging in purposeless activity, right? And like that evolutionary, I'm not trying to get too evolutionarily psych guy, but I think that does intuitively make sense. And I think so we have in us this ability to be lazy and to we haven't adapted yet to the modern society where I'm not limited by, you know, the amount of food I can get, right? Or how many calories I can consume. In fact, I've got too many calories. I don't know if you've seen unflattering pictures of me out there. You know, after a day after a Korean barbecue, and especially I was high and I went to Korean barbecue. Okay, I want you to imagine that. I don't know if you have Korean barbecue in Yugoslavia.
We do. Yeah, there's Koreans here. Yeah.
Okay, what I mean. Okay, I'm talking about a specific.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
An American all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue experience from Los Angeles, California. Okay, or you know, this is a bacchanal. Okay, this is a succulent Korean meal. Okay, you know, I'm talking about putting kilograms of Korean barbecue down my gullet. All right, that's not what's limiting me. All right, I could do that. Mike, I'm at work. Keep this PG. Okay, I will.
So cocks. Sorry.
So cocks. Yeah, cocks. Penises. Erect penises. A succulent erect penis.
Get your hand off my succulent Korean erect penis.
You are touching my yeah. God.
You are touching my.
This man is touching my penis. This is what I knew we were going to be yelling when you came on stream. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't even remember. Okay, well,
about the laziness imperative. Yes,
the laziness imperative. Yeah, and so we have to fight against that. We've got to build. We've got to put ourselves, you know, on the move. And what do you think? What are your projections? Do you have any kind of like takes for the coming years and the coming this year of 2024 or 2025? Excuse me. What are your kind of like thoughts? Where are we headed in the immediate short term? Do you have any takes you want to share?
There's either like a 1% chance that Trump is doing 70 fucking chess, and this will, in the long term, ensure the progress of American imperial hard and soft power around the world. And then there's 95% chance that Trump is just the result of the slow decline of U.S. empire, and he will not really speed it up because he is the result of said decline. And in 2025, we will see further alienation of the United States, even more away from what was up until this point defined as their traditional allies, etc., etc. More like soft colonies, but you get my fucking point. So basically, I'm saying we're gonna. This year in particular, we're going to speed run American decline internationally, not, of course, for my American friends domestically, even though you guys will definitely feel it, unfortunately, domestically, which I'm not looking forward to, of course. Neither should anyone. But yeah, something that can potentially be utilized by the left, in whatever form it finds itself in at the time, domestically in all of these places that are now going to be separating themselves away from the U.S. by utilizing that very same argument against what the right has basically completely taking a hold of for the last fucking 50, 60, 70 years. And that is that very particular pitch that, hey, you really harp on fucking state sovereignty, you really harp on independence, you really harp on building the destiny of our people by yourselves, then why the fuck are you still a cock to the Americans? They are giving us this argument quite literally for free. And I hope commies internationally manage to use it, because now it's come into the limelight so fucking openly that the so-called enemy can no longer deny it. So that's not the hottest fucking take, more of the optimistic take of the slow degradation of international American-styled capitalist influence being sped up a little bit.
Yeah, I think I largely agree with that. And I would say one other thing. I think that to understand Donald Trump this is basically like all the people who are doing IMF structural adjustments all over the world who believe their own bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like most of the time they were doing those kind of structural adjustments, they knew it was just to gain an advantage over these countries so that we could steal their resources. But now I think that Donald Trump's people around him are the people who believe that it actually helps the country. So America is getting the shock doctrine that we gave to Eastern Europe.
Yes. Yeah.
And like, it's going to be a complete disaster, just like it was a complete disaster there. Privatizing everything, removing the social safety net, make it even more threadbare, reducing our funding, closing universities, closing research. That's not going to make America better. The capitalist free market is not going to step in and do even better. All that's going to happen is the U.S. is going to become less educated, worse infrastructure, worse investment, worse of a society to experience in general. Income inequality is going to get worse. And honestly, I mean, I think my hottest take is I think there may be a real, Hoover-like crash where if you go and study the Great Depression, the man who was the Treasury Secretary was Mellon, who was one of the richest men in America at the time. He was a banker, the Mellon family. I don't know if you know of them, but the Mellon banking family is still, still one of the largest and wealthiest names in the world. And he was like, liquidate labor, liquidate, real estate, liquidate everything. When the crash happened, he was like, this is good. Let the crash accelerate, remove more barriers. Because
literally melee, like literally.
And he's like, and the losers will lose and their resources will flow in the hands of smarter people and it'll all work out. Except 4 years later, the unemployment rate was 30%. So it didn't work. It resulted in a continual spiral that led to more of a spiral and led to more of a spiral. And the economic and monetary situation continued to worsen. And productivity continued to decline, and joblessness rose, and there wasn't this like magic, transfer of wealth to more wise investors. And I think that's honestly where America's headed right now. It's just like there was a tremendous amount of bloat and a tremendous amount of corruption and ineffectiveness in the American state. There's no doubt about that. And USAID being closed, although it will be tragic in some circumstances, overall, that was the instrument of American soft power.
Of course.
That's how we interfered with your elections. And so, if that stuff is actually deleted, 1,000 flowers are going to bloom and there's going to be a lot of disruption. I'm pretty pessimistic. I don't know. I think the United States is in trouble in the immediate short term.
I couldn't agree more. The question, though, is like in the decades after that, is it simply going to be quote unquote reserved with returning to classical neoliberalism and shit, or can it potentially foster a?
I feel like we're in a fascist neoliberal death spiral.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if we just go to the neoliberalism,
no, just the thing I didn't expect for like you to embrace the death spiral so fast and with so much passion to an extent with, for example, the current administration, et cetera, which is the result of previous administrations. I think nobody in chat here is fucking stupid. But yeah, I just didn't expect a wholehearted accepting of the direction where the United States is heading at by any administration.
Well,
whatsoever.
I think it's because like. Not to get us. I don't know if you need to go soon, but just to.
Oh no, I'm fucking good. No.
Yeah. I was just. How do I explain this? I've been thinking about this, trying to figure out a way to like explain it. But the situation in America is one where the politics, like democratic politics in a liberal bourgeois state, is where you adopt a certain level of, there's like different factions in society, right? And they come together to a consensus of like, okay, we've struggled as much as we can and it's no longer worth going extra legal or fighting. We're going to just have this kind of bourgeois democracy. We're going to have this, bounds of reason. We're going to have norms and things like that where, we'll follow the rules in a kind of general sense and you'll follow the rules and we balance each other. It feels like the Republican Party has figured out that the Democratic Party, there's nothing behind it, right? Like when they disrespect the norms, when they cheat, when they're corrupt, there's no consequences.
Yeah.
So it's like playing poker with somebody, and then they reach over and look at your cards, and then play, and then you keep. They win the pot.
You don't.
They
do
win the
shit,
pot, and then you take your wallet out and you buy more chips, and they keep looking at your cards. And it's like at a certain point, the fact that you continue to bring your wallet out, like you've now made it optimal for them to just maximally cheat.
Keep looking at the cards.
And I think America has fundamentally broken, because I don't know how you unwind that, because Republicans have now been taught to cheat and lie and dissemble and just, violate every possible norm of democratic consensus.
You unwind it by explaining that it's equally the fault of those who are looking at the other player's card.
Well, the guy keeps bringing out his wallet is as much of a contributor as the guy cheating.
But in the American mainstream, that sort of fucking opinion is borderline non-existent.
That's why people hate me, because I'm just like, the Democratic Party is actually the problem. People focus on the Republicans, and it's like, yes, they are the party of untrammeled capitalism. They are the party of fascism, of racism, of all the bad things, right? And those forces exist within our society, and they're not perturbed by what I say, okay? But on the other side, the opposition, which is supposed to represent working class people, the proletariat, justice, fairness, whatever, equity, they're not doing that. So I can't stop the evil bastards from organizing in their own interest. But how come the people that are supposed to be organized in my interest are not operating in my interest? And that's because they're, I'm sure you've explained it a million times what's wrong with the Democrats. And so I've said, for the longest time, a lot of people have falsely categorized me as like an electoralist person who thinks reform is coming through electoralism, which has never been my position ever, by the way. However, I have engaged with electoral politics in my life, and I continue to do so, supporting various candidates who I like, because I'm trying to I'm basically it's like I go into a room and they say, grab whatever you can. I'll grab whatever I can. I'm not going to say, I want a certain type of thing. I'm just like, oh, you're going to give me the, for example, I just helped get somebody elected to Milwaukee city government. Well, yoink. I just helped another person get elected to Wisconsin state legislature. Yoink. The guy, his name, Ryan, he literally went to Iraq to try to prevent the Iraq war, like to put his body on the line and said, I'm an American and I'm standing next to the Iraqi fucking government building. Don't bomb it or you're going to kill me. Wow. Like he was he was not just somebody who protested the Iraq war. He literally is a king, and now he's a legislator in Wisconsin. I helped him, get elected. He just wrote me this heartfelt letter about how he would have given up if it wasn't for our community.
That's awesome.
That is the type of shit we're doing. Now, is that electoralism? In a certain sense, it is. But I'm trying to create a
who the fuck cares
political milieu. I'm trying to create a political milieu, and I'm trying to push for more. And I have kind of in my mind, I was always somebody who is like a dirty break person. This is DSA shit. I don't know if you know about this, but there were two types of arguments. There was the clean break people and dirty break people. What are they breaking from? The Democratic Party. Clean break people just wanted to kind of like almost do entryism. Unless if I'm butchering this, chat, correct me. They wanted to do entryism, AOC type people, and just kind of win through a process where we kind of take over the Democratic Party and we remake it in our own image. That has been thoroughly discredited. Not possible. I was open to it. I'm willing to support people trying it, but it's not possible. Okay. And then you have dirty break people who we should break from the Democratic Party when it's the most damaging to the Democratic Party in the effort to destroy it. And I believe now is the time. I think we should be trying to destroy the Democratic Party because it just cannot fight Trump at all. They won't do it. They're just not standing up to him. And everybody who's a left-leaning person, even like libs, they see that and they hate it and they're pissed about it. They've been told for the last 12 years that Donald Trump is the biggest threat to humanity of all time. And now that he's back in office, all the libs are like, I'm going to work with you on deporting immigrants. I'm going to pass a law where they don't have due process of law anymore. And we just round them up off the street and deport them to a country they may not have nothing to do with. And so I think, for me, I want to build a workers' party. I want to do that now. And I think, and so that's been my, basically since it's funnily enough, basically since the DNC, when they said we're not going to bring on a Palestinian speaker, I've been like, destroy the Democrats. Like, it's over. Genocide, and you're not even going to pretend to lie about it. You're not even going to give people like, well, she lied to us, and then, at least give us that. They don't even respect us enough to lie to us anymore. And that is a sign of danger. Okay, go ahead. Sorry for ranting for so long.
Sign of danger, but also no. I love it. A sign of danger, but also a sign of opportunity. I mean, if there was ever a moment that can be properly utilized in order to completely dissuade people from thinking that, stepping in shit one more time is going to make your boots fucking cleaner, it's now. It's now. It's only about making that connection, and now it's easier than ever. That without Democrats acting the way they do, you would not be able to put people as fucking unhinged as the Republican Party.
Donald Trump would never win if the Democratic Party was democratic.
Exactly.
Like, that's it. Like, we would have had a million.
Literally, that's the pitch. That's the pitch. I think it can work. I don't think Americans are that fucking stupid, contrary to my chat's opinion.
I don't think Americans are stupid. I think they're trained to be stupid. I think, and what I mean by that is they're not
trained
stupid.
to not think outside of scope.
Well,
it's not about stupidity or smart. There's scope. The scope is the two parties. Do not think outside of that.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so this is something I was saying, I was saying to Nathan Grayson, who's a journalist I had on my stream yesterday. And I was talking about pundit brain. And this is the biggest problem people have. How do I know it is a big problem? Because I've knocked tens of thousands of doors in my life talking to regular people about politics who didn't expect me to do that. I would knock on their door for some, left-wing cause. Or I would do sometimes unions do this where they just go and knock on the doors of their members and talk to them. It's a really good program that I've always been strongly in favor of. Where union leaders just go talk to random union member, to show up at their house. And so I've been doing that for a very long time. And one of the things I noticed is people will often just repeat what is on TV. And they will have a conversation on the terms of what pundits say. Like, if you knocked on somebody's door during the Bernie Sanders campaign, they'd be like, Biden is electable. And it's like, that's not something they came to on their own. It is
nothing comes to you on its own.
Exactly. It is a message. Yeah. That was the primary message advocacy against Bernie Sanders, which is, we're not going to talk about any of the policies and how popular they are and how good they are on the merits. We're just going to say, listen.
And it worked.
You may like Bernie. You may think these are good ideas. Yeah. However, your neighbor is an asshole. Your neighbor is an idiot. And so you can't get the good thing that you want and you agree with, and you're right that they're good. However, you got to think about your dumbass neighbor. And your dumbass neighbor is more likely to vote for Biden than he would for Bernie. And if you vote for Bernie, it's risky, but he'll vote for Biden over Trump. Right, so you got to do the safe thing.
But what happens now? But you see how now they're already shifting.
That's what I'm saying.
As you beautifully put about, we'll help you deport people, etc., etc. Now the shift is, yes, you have a dumbass neighbor, but the dumbass neighbor, there's more dumbass neighbors than smart neighbors. And I mean, we gotta do the shit that the dumbass neighbor wants. It used to be, he's gonna vote for Biden because he's more electable, blah blah blah. But now it's, he's racist. Maybe we gotta be a little
exactly.
bit racist.
That's the thing.
You gotta be pragmatic.
That's why I called it. That's why I called it the neoliberal fascist death spiral, because the neoliberals will never do pushback. They will never fly up. They will never pull up. They'll never go in the right direction. It'll always be spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And you're right, exactly. In the face of defeat, right? They said Joe Biden until Joe Biden literally melted in front of us, and then they didn't let us have a primary. No. We forced Kamala Harris with no elections, no votes. It's just her. We picked her, and it failed utterly. And the reaction is Joe Biden was an amazing, perfect president, and Americans just don't care when we make their lives better. They're just racist. That is their honest to God argument. And I think, first of all, it's delusional, and we could get into a lot of facts if you want to about why the country is not better. It's not. He was not a success on any metric. Anybody who tells you he was a success on X, Y, and Z is a lying hack. He was a failure, a complete failure in every important subpoint. And
even on a simple more what they call liberal moralism, just for 2 seconds. The Democratic Party in its previous fucking term, unironically, looked the American people in the eye and said asking for us to stop mass murdering women and children is too much.
Correct.
That, if that doesn't break an average fucking human soul and understand and make them understand that they don't have a soul, I genuinely don't know.
Well, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. It is not just that they didn't want to stop supporting Israel. It's that they viciously suppressed protest against
viciously. Exactly.
And they worked hand in hand with fascist and foreign fascist state doing a genocide to help target, ostracize, give personal, professional, and legal consequences to the people that protested peacefully.
And then they lost. So even the pragmatist argument, which is insane for you to say you need to be pragmatic when it comes to the wholesale mass murder of a whole fucking people, and then they lost. I'm agreeing with you. There's no argument left whatsoever. There's not a single card that they can put on the table that can be used for their support.
You know what? Okay, so just to be as most pro-Democrat as I could possibly be, their argument would be, listen, okay, yes, Donald Trump won, and yes, the American people are racist. However, if we move just slightly ever more closer to the right, you know, we only lost by 1.8%, and we're they have a thin majority in Congress. It's not that crazy that, thermostatic effect, right? Donald Trump goes too far right. The American people are going to react back toward the golden perfect center, which is where everyone intelligent is. The status quo is amazing.
Where we do just a little bit of genocide.
And we'll be able to win power back, right? So you just have to hold the course, thermostatic effects. Joe Biden was too old. He wasn't very good at messaging. We'll find a good messenger and we'll be able to barely pull over the line. But don't ask for too much because this is a center-right country. So best I could do, tax cuts for corporations. And if you open a small business in a marginalized community and keep it open for 7 years, we will be able to give you a $5,000 tax break. Best I can do. Best I can do. And that's literally going to be their plan. And it's important to understand that I saw this coming and I told you exactly what was going to happen. And I've been saying, it's very funny because I just pulled up a post of mine from January 21st, 2021, which was the first day of Biden's administration. And I explained exactly what was going to happen. Exactly. I predicted I predicted everything. And and it's not because I'm a super genius. It's just because my brain works. My brain works.
And you're a super genius.
Yes. I apply materialist analysis. Yeah, more glazing of me is honestly necessary.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know what's really bullshit? So I was talking to this reporter about Hassan, and I was talking about how he kind of disproves all the stereotypes about leftists because he's a tall, attractive, popular, muscled guy, and I said stuff like that, and he quoted me. Glazing Hassan, full deep throat. The balls were rubbing against my beard hair level of
and there's
dick
nothing
riding.
Wrong about glazing.
No, it's fine. But then the very next day,
and you can go
more,
dude.
Go on Hassan's fucking Twitter feed.
Glaze.
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up right now on my stream, just so you can see how caught I was glazing.
Let me see. Read it out loud.
He posted when he went live. Let me see. Let me just scroll.
He posted the glaze.
He posted this. He is large, strong, attractive, funny guy who you want to be friends with, but he also has the values of the left. Mike from PA Pyre, Hasanavi, live from sunny California, publicized glazing. Look what this motherfucker did. Did.
Posting your nudes on Maine, bro.
This is like leaking a sext or something.
A little you did a sext.
This is fucked up.
The sexting is good agitation, bro. Except when you then
ride your homies,
take a video of the actual sex.
This is a bro job.
To other people that don't want you to see. Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, this is a bro job right here. All right. Well, listen. It's Friday. What time is it over there?
It's drinking time.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. You gotta be getting ready for.
It's just fucking dry February. I want to.
Are you done, or are you gonna keep streaming?
I am. I'm not done with dry February. I have 7 more days, dude. I don't know how you fucking. Do you drink?
I used to drink a lot. I used to drink a lot.
I saw a fellow man of.
I used to drink a lot. I don't drink as much because my partner doesn't really drink at all. So I kind of I don't like to drink alone. You know what I mean?
In the States, you're so fragmented that all your like IRL friends are.
I just moved across the country, so you know how it goes. Like, but. I used to drink a lot, and so I've kind of recovered from that before my as I'm getting older and closer to as I'm middle aged now. It's bad, Of
course, the hangovers are insane, but you gotta work out more, and you gotta there's you can always outwork out how much damage
I drink like hard alcohol, like
body.
water. So that's always been a problem because I'm Scottish, and so like
nice.
It doesn't really bother me. Like we would just drink scotch, like.
Yeah, of course.
And, whenever I
why is that
people,
weird to anyone? Like that's so.
Well, you're
soft, brother. You're soft.
No, it's not.
Chat. You're soft.
It's
brother.
not about being soft. It just literally does not. So I would drink like
I'm toxic on.
I would drink like so much that it would be bad. So.
It's kind of a trait of being a communist. You are so incredibly fucking smart because of the information that plays through your brain.
So true.
So you see injustice absolutely everywhere 24/7, and a drink makes it all go away, and life is relatively decent for a couple of seconds for you to rest. That's my pitch to none of you, because you should not be drinking, of course.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a super lightweight now, which is great, but it is what it is.
Next time you come to
I will die.
One of the most beautiful
I'll
Serbian
die and
cities
puke
in
on
the
myself.
world, Vienna. You come and I reintroduce you.
We'll be back. Well, we need to visit. We need to visit again. Assuming I don't get arrested by Trump's Gestapo. All right. Well, go ahead and plug all your shit again. We can do a shout out.
Just anybody in chat, click my account, click follow, I stream. That will be chill. You saw who I am if you're interested in this type of shit. I apologize for the relatively LARPy, weird-looking fucking mask thing. I'm just still in denial about being, coming out of the closet as a full-time quote-unquote content creator. So I keep it.
Honestly, it's fine.
Anonymous.
It's probably smart,
especially with the hat. I don't know. Today I was having a horrible hair day, but when I remove the hat, it's fine.
You're very Tim Pool today.
Balaclava bullshit. Yeah, I'm very. And my hair is starting to do a Tim Pool. The only thing I'm not Tim Pooling is fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Russian Federation, bro. Come on, call me.
Gee, where the fuck? I don't want Russian money. I want Chinese money. Where the fuck are you,
bro? And we're never gonna get it because they don't give a shit.
Where's the Confucian Center?
The fucking people working in the EU that I talked to you, that I told you about like earlier, that I fucking know, and half of them work for fucking like lobbying companies. I'm like, dude, do Chinese lobbying companies exist? Because like fucking connect me, bro. And they're like, no, they do not care. They do not give a shit.
They're just like, we have the best products at the best price.
Now, though, with the schism between the U.S. and the EU, they might slowly start rolling in. And with that, my dear friend, we might not be begging for subs anymore, brother. Might not. I'm kidding. Of course, I'm fucking wrong. I actually, anytime I get anonymous gift subs in chat, I salute and say thank you, Xi Jinping, because I have a deal with my boy. But we agreed.
Oh my god, dude! Like if America
anon gifties,
if America balkanized, I would be like, I'll start the pro-G militia. Like, drop the J20s on me. Teach me to fly the J20. I'll fly the J20. Like I will. Yeah, we will. I'm
sending you crates of AKs inside of alcohol.
Hell yeah, dude!
Crates and shit, dude. We doing this. The LARP is gonna LARP hard.
We're gonna really LARP it. All right,
no jokes. Click follow. Check me out when I
shouted you out in my chat. I assume everybody in your chat is already a member of the Central Committee. Like, come on.
That is not even a question, man. I'm intruding on your turf, for which I apologize and will continue to apologize. But I'm pretty sure like a lot of chatters like jump between streams whenever they watch. So it's
it's no biggie. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead. If you're done, are you going to keep streaming or no?
Nah, I'm gonna kill it. Even though raid me if you want. That's gonna motivate more people to follow. Maybe I'll watch a fucking video, and then I'm min-maxing now hard.
Yeah, there you go.
And
You
then
figured
I'm
it out.
gonna
I hinted to you twice, but I'm not gonna make you keep going.
And now I said it out loud. There you go.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
only honest.
if you're just
guy
like, I'm
on
not
this
gonna raid you if you're just gonna end your stream immediately. So, because that's just dumb. But I will give you the raid and you can stay up even later.
And thank you to contributing to the slow destruction of my relationship with my partner. Phenomenal stuff.
You're welcome.
Dude, thank you so much.
Honestly, your partner
should
should recognize that what you're doing is giving you guys such complete freedom in the future. Like, that's the best part of being a Twitch streamer is all the rules I impose on myself are imposed by me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I say I need to stream, that's what I'm just saying. And if I decide I don't want to, I don't.
But it's a double-edged sword, dude. Like, my phenomenal mods have been pushing me to stream more often. And during February, I've been streaming 4 days a week, every week. But once I go back to drinking from time to time, there's a whole ass day for hangovers, and that kind of kills it. But maybe I should be like you, like sobriety is healthy. Nah, man. Nah.
All right,
After I said it out loud,
you were laughing. All right, well, I'm sending you guys over to Yagopnik. Have a wonderful rest of your day, weekend. Today's movie night over in my Discord. I don't remember what we're watching. We're watching a movie at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So come hang out. My link's in the channel. Thank you so much for coming on. Solidarity forever, my friends.
And, we should do it again. We should
Free Palestine. We'll do it again. See ya.
Free Palestine. Bye, brother.
Yeah, all right. Well, I just raided over to you. I'll see you all soon. Bye.